Chapter 867. The next morning. Net, big brother, second brother, third brother, Chuyang said, and I are going to the capital, which is different from the three of you. The three of you still have important things to do, so you'd better do it quickly. You don't have to worry about us. Wan Renjia said, How can we do that? How can we rest assured if the two of you go on your way like this? No matter what, we have to escort fourth brother and look to the destination. Cheng Duiying and Bao Buhuan agreed. Chuyang smiled and said, If the three of you really want to do so, then Le and I will walk slowly. When we reach the Black Pine Forest, we'll stop. It's a good place with mountains on one side and rivers on the other. The two of us will wait there for the three of you to return triumphantly after you've finished your important matters. Then we'll set off together. What do you think? Wan Renjia, Cheng Duiying and Bao Buhuan looked at each other. They all felt that this was a good plan. Firstly, there was no danger. Secondly, it wouldn't delay their matters. They couldn't help but praise, Fourth brother, good plan. Chuyang laughed and said, However, the three of you have to be careful. The martial world is full of sinister people. You have to be careful. Wan Renjia and the other two said solemnly, Little brother, you're right. Big brother will definitely be careful. Chuyang said, Also, which side will the three elder brothers be targeting this time? The Yi clan? Or the Shao clan? Wan Renjia said without hesitation, In my original plan, I want the two clans to kill an important person each. This way, they'll fight with their lives on the line, and will have more opportunities to take advantage of them. Chuyang frowned and shook his head. This is not appropriate. Not appropriate? Wan Renjia asked, What's not appropriate? Big brother, think about it. Everyone has a vengeful mentality. For example, if you slap me, I'll definitely kick you. After a slap and a kick, if someone tries to stop the fight, I'll let it go, right? Chuyang said. Wan Renjia said, That's right. If ordinary people fight, it's really like this. Chuyang smiled faintly and said, Be it supreme martial artists or martial saints, they are all just ordinary people. If the person who was slapped doesn't return the slap, then the person will become angrier and angrier. In the end, it may even lead to a lawsuit. At this point, Wan Renjia started to ponder. Chuyang said, Just like this assassination attempt, if Big Brother had killed one person from each side, the fight wouldn't have started. Because everyone is very balanced. Everyone thinks that it was the other party who did it, and everyone also thinks that it was the secret power of their own family who did it, right? Wan Renjia's expression turned solemn. He had originally thought that this fourth brother he had just acknowledged was young and might not have any insights. But he did not expect that when he spoke, it was actually clear and logical, meticulous and reasonable. For example, if the second master of the Yi clan dies, of course the Yi clan will be mad with grief and anger. They will take revenge even at the cost of their lives. But if they suddenly hear that the third master of the Shao clan has also died, then there will be such a feeling, Oh, one of you has also died. And the one who died is also an important person. So when they feel balanced mentally, they won't be so anxious to take revenge. Because everyone will feel that they haven't suffered too much. So, if Big Brother wants to take action, you can only choose one family. Chuyang concluded, Only in this way can the two families really fight to the death. Brilliant plan. Wan Renjia started to seriously consider. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that Chuyang's words were really insightful. Big brother, fourth brother is right, Bao Buhuan said seriously. Yes, that's right. What fourth brother said makes sense. Wan Renjia looked at Chuyang with some reliance in his eyes. He did not expect that this little brother he had just acknowledged was not only a divine doctor, but also a genius strategist. This time, he had really picked up a treasure by accident. Fourth brother, in your opinion, which side should we take action from? When Wan Renjia asked, there was a hint of seeking advice. This proved that he had already admitted that he was not as good as Chuyang in terms of the overall situation and conspiracies. Although he himself had not realized this point. I think that the three of you should take action from the Yi clan. Chuyang took a tree branch and drew a circle on the ground. Look, this is the southeast. and the southeast is the Shao clan's base camp. In the southeast, it is true that the feud between the Huang clan and the Shao clan led to the two clans fighting. But if you look carefully, you can see that the Huang clan did not go all out, and neither did the Shao clan. Both sides only wanted to vent their anger. That's all there is to the Saint Hall, Chuyang said. Yes, I agree with this point. Wan Renjie frowned and said, but little brother, you're so young. How do you know these things? I'm from the Chu clan of the Flat Mountain Ridge. Chuyang laughed and said, and the Shao clan had used the Grand Severing Hand on the only son of the Huang clan? And the Grand Severing Hand of the Huang clan was cured by me, I see. The three of them laughed out loud. Then, they were shocked. So the young divine doctor in the Flat Mountain Ridge is you? You flatter me, Chuyang squinted his eyes and smiled. But I heard that the divine doctor is very black-hearted. He's known as the black-hearted divine doctor. Bao Buhuan was pinched by Cheng Duing halfway through his words. Chuyang suddenly laughed. Second brother, you don't have to do this. There must be a price to pay for my treatment. But people will always have feelings. There will also be those who are pleasing to the eye and those who are not. For those who think that they are rich and nouveau riche, if I don't earn their purple crystals, am I supposed to keep it for them? The three of them laughed. Exactly. Chuyang continued, and after the Huang clan discovered the conspiracy of the Shao clan, they sent people to massacre the branch of the Shao clan in the Flat Mountain Ridge. But at this time, the seventh master of the Shao clan suddenly got seriously injured and became disabled. Well, this is what I heard, he smiled. That's why the Huang clan and the Shao clan are getting anxious, the three of them said, I see. Although the three of them were plotting to deal with the big clans, they really weren't clear about the ins and outs of this incident. Speaking of which, they couldn't be blamed for this. Because even the experts of the Huang clan, Shao clan and Yi clan who were fighting each other absolutely didn't know the inside story of this battle. In the whole world, there was only one person who could really understand this matter, and that was the person standing in front of them now, this kind, honest, pure and innocent fourth brother who was shy and fresh out of the oven, because this guy was the main culprit of the chaos in the entire upper three heavens. Since this is the case, then it should be a matter between the Huang clan and the Shao clan. Why is the Yi clan also involved? Wan Renjie asked, puzzled. Actually, the three of them had been puzzled about this matter all along the way. The two big clans had been at peace for close to 10,000 years. Why did they suddenly fall out with each other? Chuyang said, it's like this. When the seventh master of the Shao clan was injured, the 13th master of the Yi clan also suffered a great loss in the Flat Mountain Ridge. The 5 monarch-level experts that he brought were all killed. Even the 13th master of the Yi clan was on the verge of death. And the 13th master of the Yi clan escaped back. Rumor has it that it was the Shao clan who did it, so the Yi clan started to take revenge. I see. This matter is really too complicated. Wan Renjie and the other two finally understood. They couldn't help but sigh. They only felt that the twists and turns of this matter could be written into a novel. Just like this, the three big clans actually fought each other. The heavens are really helping me. Chuyang continued to analyze. According to my speculation, although the people from the Yi clan who came this time are all elites, they are definitely not the top elites. They only came this time to vent their anger. So big brother, your previous analysis is wrong. This battle definitely won't last for a long time. Wan Renjie and the other two nodded heavily at the same time. So you have to start from the Yi clan. Because this is the Shao clan's home ground. Chuyang said calmly, and you can't just kill one. You have to choose those who are powerful enough and kill a few of them consecutively. After that, you have to leave immediately. After that, no matter what happens, you can't care about it, much less watch it. Just hearing about it will be enough to satisfy you. Brilliant plan. Wan Renjie and the other two exclaimed at the same time, only now do we realize that Old Fourth is actually an expert in scheming. Chuyang smiled reservedly and thought, an expert in scheming? How am I just an expert? If you know that everything here is caused by me, even the matter of the big clans of the upper three heavens and the 8 big clans working together to deal with the Li clan is also caused by me. Yes, let's do it this way. Bao Buhuan clapped his hands heroically. But I have to remind you, Chu Yang pointed at the weapons of the three people and said, you can't use these to attack. These are your signboards. Once they are exposed, the Yi clan and the Shao clan don't need to fight anymore. The two clans will directly join forces to find trouble with you. Of course, one Renjia nodded affirmatively and said, how can the three of us be so inexperienced? Chu Yang curled his lips secretly and thought, the three of you still say that you have experience. He frowned and said, since you plan to attack, who are you going to pretend to be from the Shao clan? Pretend to be someone? Cheng Duing said, do we still need to pretend to be someone? Then how are you going to let the Yi clan know that it's the Shao clan who did it? Chu Yang was astonished. Don't we need to pretend to be someone? Isn't it the Shao clan who did it? Cheng Duing said matter-of-factly, is there anyone else who can do it here? Chu Yang scratched his head and said, but aren't you here? But how does the Yi clan know that it's us who did it? Cheng Duing rolled his eyes. But the Yi clan also can't be sure that it's the Shao clan who did it. Chu Yang was speechless. So this is how you go against the big clans? I'm really going to faint. Wan Renjia said calmly, little brother, you mean, you choose a person whose style is similar to yours, imitate his attack, and make the enemy shout out before he dies. You're Shao? Chu Yang said. Only in this way can you immediately cause a conflict. You can't be sure of anything. You just let the two clans gather together to study what's going on. What results can you get? The big clans have been able to stand strong for so many years. Which one of them is stupid? Chu Yang said resentfully. Alas, if I had such cultivation now, I would have turned the world upside down long ago. You still don't know how to do it. The 8th update has been delivered. I'll continue to work hard. Please vote for me. I just want to say one thing. 4 groups have just been opened today. I didn't expect everyone to be so enthusiastic. Hundreds of people joined the group at once. The 5 managers were too busy. It said that at the busiest time, one manager had to deal with more than 10 brothers and sisters at the same time. Therefore, some brothers were kicked out by mistake, and some brothers couldn't join the group. Here, on behalf of the managers, I would like to express my deep apologies to the brothers and sisters who were kicked out by mistake and couldn't join the group. I'm sorry to let you suffer. For those brothers and sisters who couldn't join the group, you can join the group after 12 o'clock in the morning and before 22 o'clock in the evening. At that time, some managers will have time. If you don't open the group occasionally, please understand and choose another time to join. Feng Ling is inside, waiting for your arrival anytime. Yes, longing for your arrival. The group number is on the page, proud 4 groups. Everyone can join at any time, thank you. Chapter 868. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Seeing that the 3 of them were still a little confused, Chu Yang started to teach them step by step. What is your style? Then, you should recall who in the Shao clan is similar to you. Then you should do this and this, you should do this and this, third brother, you should do this and this. Finally, one Renjia and the other 2 were enlightened. One by one, they gave Chu Yang a thumbs up and said happily, amazing! What? 4th brother, you're really something? The 3 of them reminded him, don't go too far. Wait for us there. If we can't find you, we'll teach you a lesson. Seeing that the 3 of them had finally walked far away and disappeared, Chu Yang finally fell on the carriage. I can't. Quickly make me a cup of tea. My mouth is dry. Chu Le pouted and said, Big brother, I think you're very despicable. Chu Yang turned sideways and supported his head with his left hand. He asked, why? You're obviously making use of them. The way you talk today is different from before. Although I don't know why you're making use of them, you're making use of them, Chu Lu said unhappily. Chu Yang laughed and looked at his sister gently. He said, Do you know that there are 2 kinds of making use of people? One is to make use of others purely for your own benefits. This is harming others without benefiting yourself. The other is to benefit both parties. It's also called making use of others. Today, I don't deny that I've made use of my 3 brothers. However, they're also happy to be made use of by me at the same time. And this kind of making use sometimes requires true feelings. Giving one's heart can only be obtained. Chu looked at him as if she didn't understand. Actually, in this world, who isn't being made use of? Chu Yang sighed. For example, in the clan, I've made use of the clan's benefits and reputation. Outside, I've made use of fourth uncle's honesty and made him run errands for the two of us. Isn't this making use of him? The reason why I'm somewhat unscrupulous in the clan and insist on opening the purple crystal's Huichun Hall outside, is it really my own power? That is your uncle's power. But here I am, taking advantage of your uncle and aunt's feelings of being indebted to me for so many years, though I don't really want to take advantage of them. Marshal Yin Yang, no matter what I do, your uncle and auntie will support me no matter what. That is a form of compensation. Then this use has relieved the guilt of the two elders for so many years, and allowed me to truly gain the affection of my parents. I'm happy, I'm warm, but your uncle and auntie, aren't they happy? Chu Yang looked up at the gradually brightening sky and said, in this world, the strong take advantage of the weak to achieve their unparalleled reputation. The big clans take advantage of the small clans, and the small clans take advantage of the smaller clans. The bosses take advantage of the workers to make money, and the workers take advantage of the platforms provided by the bosses to make money to support their families. In the end, aren't they all taking advantage of each other? It's just that some uses are called love, and some are called hate. Some are what the person being used yearns for, and some are hated by the person being used. Everyone in the heavenly layer has value. Even everyone who died. Are brothers taking advantage of each other? But with this use, there's an additional sense of camaraderie and warmth. Just like you, aren't you also taking advantage of others? You took advantage of me to treat your illness, and in front of me, you gained happiness. I took advantage of your innocence, and my heart was filled with joy. Aren't we also taking advantage of each other? You took advantage of your mother to make yourself strong. Your mother also took advantage of you to support herself. Taking advantage, this is the true meaning of life. As long as we can take advantage of the person being taken advantage of, then it's not taking advantage. Chu Yang said warmly, we usually call this kind of taking advantage cooperation. It's called true love in the human world. Chu nodded, I understand, big brother. Chu Yang laughed and rubbed her hair, saying, just like these three people today. Their nature is not bad, but in this world, the three of them are treated unfairly. Since it's unfair, they have to fight. Since they fight, they have to pay the price. And the price they have to pay is their reputation. Chu Le sighed and said, the three of them are very good people. She smiled a little absent-mindedly and said, big brother, usually at home, I try my best to appear strong and mature, because I don't dare to be weak. And I don't dare to be naive. Like Marshal Yin Yang, my mother would feel even worse. But today, in front of this Uncle Wan, I really feel that I'm still a child. Chu Yang sighed slightly and said, from now on, you don't have to suppress yourself anymore. Chu slowly reached out her hands and hugged Chu Yang. She said, big brother, this Uncle Wan is really very nice. I can feel that the way he looks at me is as if he's looking at his own granddaughter. This cannot be faked. She pressed her little head against Chu Yang's chest and said softly, the feeling he gives me is like a lonely old man. He has nothing but he's yearning for everything, but he can't get anything. So pitiful. Chu Yang sighed and hugged Chu Lu's soft little body in his arms. His eyes looked deeply at the direction where Wan Renjie and the others had left, and he thought to himself, a lonely old man. He has nothing, yearning for everything, but he can't get anything. The three brothers are hugging a duo that can never be completed. In this world, they have no relatives and are living alone, drifting around the world. Just for that little bit of kindness in the past. If they were to die, there wouldn't even be anyone to collect their corpses. Wasn't this a common portrayal of people in the martial world? When the sun set in the west, the piles of white bones in the wilderness, and the lonely graves at the end of the world, who knew if those buried there were not once world-shaking figures? However, Ordinary people could still enjoy the incense offerings of their descendants after they died, but these unparalleled experts didn't even have this. Who could say that they weren't pitiful people? At this moment, Chu Yang suddenly felt that it was actually reasonable for the Tribulation Sword Master to reorganize the heavens once every 10,000 years. The siblings got on the carriage. Chu Yang waved the whip and continued to move forward. However, they deviated from the original route and went up a rugged road. After walking for more than 2 hours, they rushed out with a whoosh, and a new road appeared in front of them. And Chu Yang was driving the carriage. He seemed to be aimlessly rushing out of this road. Chu Lu was swaying left and right in the carriage. Chu Yang had already carried her out and held her in his arms. At this moment, seeing Chu Yang's strange actions, she couldn't help but be puzzled. "Big brother, where are we going?" Chu Yang smiled. "We're going down this road. It's close and fast." Chu Lu responded with an "oh." The carriage sped on the mountain road at almost full speed, and a cloud of dust was stirred up behind the carriage. Chu Yang seemed to be very anxious. He couldn't help but be anxious, because Wei Wen was almost at the end of his rope now. Chu Yang's powerful divine spirit had locked all the space here, and Wei Wen had been under the surveillance of Chu Yang's divine spirit. Wei Wen was very weak now. After the battle yesterday, he found a place to recuperate. This place was very secluded, and Chu Yang was very assured. But he didn't expect Wei Wen to be so unlucky. His divine spirit suddenly fluctuated violently in the middle of the night, as if he had encountered a strong enemy and was fighting with him. Then, Wei Wen's divine spirit suddenly disappeared. And last night, Chu Yang was shocked when Bao Buhuan broke through. He thought that Wei Wen had died, and his mind was in a mess, which almost caused Bao Buhuan to not return. So today, he immediately found a reason to send Wan Renjie and his 2 brothers away, and came over anxiously to look for Bao Buhuan. At the same time, he felt a little strange. With Wei Wuyan's martial experience and cultivation, the place he was looking for must be extremely secluded, but how could he be discovered? Moreover, although he was seriously injured at that time, it wasn't fatal, and it didn't affect his movement. Logically speaking, an ordinary martial saint wouldn't pose any threat to him. Even if he couldn't defeat them temporarily, he could always escape. How could there be no divine spirit fluctuation in the end? For an expert at Wei Wuyan's level, there were only 3 possibilities for him to lose his divine spirit fluctuation. First, he had left. And he had left without Chu Yang noticing. But the first possibility was the most unlikely one. Second possibility, he was dead. Third possibility, he had fallen into a deep coma, and was completely unable to control himself. So Chu Yang was very anxious. Within 4 hours, the carriage had traveled for nearly 100 miles. Chu Yang finally stopped and looked at the surrounding forest. Then, he put Chu Lu down and gave her some instructions. Then, he flew up and climbed up the tallest tree in the vicinity. Then, he flew up again and flew to the peak of a small mountain. Standing on the top of the tree, he looked into the distance. In front of him on the right, the trees were in a mess, and there seemed to be traces of a fight. Chu Yang flew down, and no longer hesitated, he rushed over with the carriage. As he got closer and closer, he could already see whole trees flying out of nowhere, blocking the road. Chu Yang lashed out with his horsewhip, and whipped away the trees that were blocking the road one by one. However, this didn't affect the speed of the carriage's advance. After traveling for more than 10 miles, the mountain road became narrower and narrower, and the traces of a fight became more and more obvious. This place was obviously affected by the aftermath of the fight, and the carriage couldn't pass through. Chu Yang flew down from the horse and instructed Chu Lu not to wander around. Then, he turned into a ray of light and rushed into a messy forest. The dense forest here was relatively hidden. It seemed that no one had come here before. The wild grass was much more lush than in other places, and withered vines were everywhere. The forest was so dense that once he entered, he couldn't even see the sun. Chu Yang finally got close to the heart of the fight. When he looked up, he couldn't help but be shocked. Just a few hundred feet in front of him, there was actually a strange-looking thing leaning against a tree, and a pair of eyes were actually looking at him fiercely. In the tribulation space, the sword spirit exclaimed, "It's actually this thing." The sword spirit's voice was also full of shock. This is the 10th update. I will continue to write the 10th update. Please vote for me. Chapter 869. Book 7 Chapter 145. Wow. I'm so happy. 10th update. Chu Yang looked at the monster and saw that it had 8 legs. Each leg was as thick as a human's thigh. The net was covered with dense black hair. Its body was round and bulging, and its belly was a little white with a faint golden color. On top of it was a ferocious head. Its eyes stared at Chu Yang, but it didn't move at all. Chu Yang calmed himself down for a while before he realized that the monster was already dead. There was a sword pierced deeply into the monster's throat. Around the sword, there was a bloody hole the size of a wash basin wind sword. Chu Yang walked closer and looked at the monster. He had a feeling that if he used too much strength and made a noise, the monster would be awakened at any time and launch a cruel attack. Although this monster was dead, the strength of its remnant aura still shocked Chu Yang a little. It was even terrifying. Around him, there were yellow, green, purple, all sorts of strange colors. Where was Wei Wen? He had already thrown out his Wuyan sword. Then where was he? Chu Yang searched quietly. Finally, he found Wei Wen at the roots of a tree that had become a fresh tree stump. Wei Wen's whole body had already sunk into the big tree, and there was no sound at all. Chu Yang guessed at once. This was a lose-lose situation. Wei Wen killed the monster with his last blow, but he was also directly knocked into the big tree by the monster's last blow. He didn't even struggle before he fainted. Looking at the distance between the two, it was a full 10 feet. Moreover, all the big trees in the straight line had been knocked away. Obviously, under the monster's last blow, Wei Wen's body flew out and broke more than 10 big trees in a row. Finally, his momentum was exhausted and he was embedded in this thick tree stump. Chu Yang looked at the messy field not far away. He was sure that this was the final battlefield and not the initial one. He walked forward and stretched out his hand to feel Wei Wen's breath. He found that there was no breath. Chu Yang frowned and tried to feel Wei Wen's heart. However, he found that there was still a little warmth in his heart. His heart was also beating. Although it only beat once in a while, it was still alive after all. However, this bit of life force was pitifully weak. Just like a candle in the wind, it would be extinguished the next moment. Chu Yang sighed. With Wei Wen's current situation, even a 3-year-old child could poke him with a finger and he would die immediately. He really couldn't move it. Chu Yang took out half a bottle of Vitality Spring water from the tribulation space. He stepped forward and skillfully pinched Wei Wen's chin. Chu Yang placed one hand on Wei Wen's chest and poured the Vitality Spring water into his mouth. As he poured the Vitality Spring water into Wei Wen's body, he stroked Wei Wen's chest with pure Vitality Spring water. Then he took out an incomplete version of the heavy pill, pinched half of it, and used a cup of Vitality Spring water to melt this half of the pill. Then he poured it into Wei Wen's mouth. Wei Wen's current body couldn't even bear the incomplete version of the heavy pill. He could only use half of it. This was the first time Chu Yang had seen such a serious injury in his life. To be honest, the current Wei Wen could no longer be regarded as a living person. If it weren't for his cultivation at the peak of saint level protecting a little bit of his real spirit, his soul would have long been scattered. Chu Yang waited patiently. After a dozen breaths, Wei Wen's heartbeat gradually sped up. Finally, he coughed weakly and blood came out of his mouth. He regained his breath. I finally pulled my life back from the gates of hell. Chu Yang breathed a sigh of relief. Then he started to get busy. Wei Wen's face was no longer Wen, but in absolute 5 colors. There were red, blue, green, purple and black. There were more than 10 colors than the rainbow of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, blue and purple. Damn it. If Wei Wen were to sing an opera now, he wouldn't need to put on makeup. Chu Yang muttered. This is poison. It's the most poisonous poison in the world. The sword spirit's voice was heavy. This kind of poison hasn't appeared for a long time. What kind of poison is this? Chu Yang asked. Hearing the sword spirit's serious words, Chu Yang's expression also became solemn. Lower grade 10th level spirit beast, human face rainbow spider. The sword spirit shook his head and sighed. Wei Win's luck is really bad. Lower grade 10th level spirit beast. Chu Yang gasped. This was the first time he came into contact with a 10th level spirit beast, although it was a dead thing. Human face rainbow spider has strong fighting power. Its body is invulnerable. Moreover, it usually grows in extremely poisonous places. It must be absolutely cold and humid. Moreover, this human face rainbow spider feeds on dried bones. It's extremely poisonous. If an ordinary person comes into contact with it, his whole body will rapidly fester and he will die. A poisonous pill grows in the body of a human face rainbow spider. This poisonous pill can produce all kinds of poisons. And when it spurts out from the spider's mouth, it's as bright as the clouds. The sword spirit gasped. This kind of thing has been extinct for tens of thousands of years. Why is there one here? And it looks like it's an adult. Chu Yang also looked at Wei Wuyan with some pity. So, old Wei's luck is really bad. He can even come across something that has been extinct for tens of thousands of years. And he even barged into its nest when he was seriously injured. The sword spirit said in a low voice, looking at the situation, it should be so. How can this kind of poison be detoxified? Chu Yang asked. The sword spirit revealed a mysterious smile. Others may not be able to detoxify this kind of poison, but for you, it's as easy as blowing off dust. That's why I said that you're really lucky. He paused and asked, do you still remember that you got the inner core of the poisonous flood dragon at the Lotus Lake in the lower three heavens? Chu Yang suddenly remembered. Can the inner core of the poisonous flood dragon detoxify this poison? He wondered, but that poisonous flood dragon and this human face rainbow spider are not of the same level at all. It can actually detoxify this kind of poison in the world? The sword spirit sneered. How can a 1-year-old star spot grass be of the same level as the most poisonous nightmare snake in the world? The nightmare snake can only be poisonous after 1,000 years and can only really evolve after 5,000 years. But a 1-year-old star spot grass can detoxify the nightmare snake's poison. How do you explain this? Chu Yang coughed twice and said, if it can be detoxified, then so be it. What's so great about it? Seeing that this guy was going to be unreasonable again, the sword spirit sensibly shut up. Chu Yang rummaged in the space for a long time before he found the inner core of the poisonous flood dragon. How do I use it? The sword spirit ridiculed. Aren't you very capable? Sword Master Chu immediately acted like a sword master and was about to scold him. The sword spirit hurriedly said, soak him in clear water for a few breaths and let him drink the clear water. This poison will be detoxified. So easy? Chu Yang hurriedly followed the instructions. After the clear water was poured down, the color on Wei Wuyan's face really faded gradually, revealing the original contours. His breathing also became a little heavy, but he was still unconscious. Only then did Chu Yang dare to check his injuries. With one look, he couldn't help but feel his scalp explode. If there were a total of 100 bones in Wei Wuyan's body, then at least 30 of them had been broken. It was such a horrifying ratio. Furthermore, the great majority of them were broken into pieces. My goodness! Divine Dr. Chu exclaimed, his bones are broken like this, but he can still support me to save him. This is also an extraordinary person. Although he was making sarcastic remarks, his hands didn't stop at all. He began to treat Wei Wuyan quickly. All kinds of potions were sprinkled on Wei Wuyan's body. Vitality spring water was even smeared on Wei Wuyan's body from the outside. Finally, Wei Wuyan groaned. Chu Yang shouted softly. He stretched out his hand and patted the tree stump. Wei Wuyan's body bounced out softly from inside. Chu Yang's right hand moved, and Wei Wuyan's body stopped in midair. Chu Yang pierced the silver needles that he had already prepared. In the blink of an eye, 30 silver needles were shot into Wei Wuyan's back, fixing his spine that had been broken into several pieces. Then, he melted the other half of the incomplete version of the heavy pill in the vitality spring water and smeared it on Wei Wuyan's back. Then, he carefully laid Wei Wuyan down. Sweat had already seeped out of his forehead. The sword spirit also sighed. If you want to completely cure this guy, you need at least 4 unsafe versions of the heavy pill. It's really not easy to refine medicine. Chu Yang said earnestly, Sword Spirit, you can't be greedy for these things, nor can you be too stingy. You must know that a doctor has the heart of a parent. The Sword Spirit directly vomited in the tribulation space. Don't touch him for the time being. Let his body recover first. The Sword Spirit reminded, you should go and deal with the body of that human face rainbow spider. That's a treasure. Treasure? Chu Yang's eyes lit up. Of course, don't be fooled by its ugly and disgusting appearance. Its whole body is a treasure. This is a 10th grade spirit beast. Furthermore, it's a fully grown 10th grade spirit beast. The Sword Spirit couldn't help but sigh. Even if Wei Wuyan wasn't injured, he could only run away when he saw this thing. But when he was seriously injured, he actually risked his life to kill it. This is really... He sighed. Wei Wuyan died unjustly, but isn't this spider also unjustly killed? It hid here to cultivate for 10,000 years, and a sudden disaster fell from the sky. Chu Yang wasn't interested in listening to his sigh. He had already pulled out his tribulation sword, and asked excitedly, where should I start? Where are the treasures the most? I'm most interested in treasure hunting. The Sword Spirit sighed deeply again. Otherwise, I'd say that you're lucky. You've really reaped a great harvest this time. There's not only this spider here. You must know that this kind of rainbow spider is dirty, but it loves cleanliness the most. Although it has to cultivate in dark and damp places, its residence must be dry and even sunny. Do you know what I mean? Chu Yang thought for a while, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Earthly soul ginseng? The Sword Spirit smiled and said, if you can't find the earthly soul ginseng where the human face rainbow spider is, then you won't be able to find it anymore. Chu Yang laughed heartily, full of gratification. My sister seems to be really lucky, ha. He counted his fingers and couldn't stop laughing. Spider is one, earthly soul ginseng is another, and the number 1 blood payer expert who has never owed anyone in his life owes me a big one this time. Wow, I'm so happy. 10 chapters. Begging for votes. Chapter 870. The Sword Spirit said lightly, we'll talk about it after you've got what you can get. As for whether I owe you anything, it depends on the person. Don't always think that things are going smoothly. Chu Yang nodded, you're right. One's true nature can only be seen at the critical moment of life and death. The Sword Spirit said lightly, what you've done is a little too smooth. Before this, I didn't think that you'd have such big ambitions. You actually want to draw in both opposing parties. Don't you think you're a little too broad-minded? Chu Yang was silent for a while and said, Wei Wen and Wan Renjie are all heroes of their time. It's a pity to let them go. He sighed deeply and said, Sword Spirit, I know what you're worried about. But have you ever thought about what I have now? What do you have? The Sword Spirit was startled. I'm very lonely. Chu Yang said in a daze, in my previous life, I wandered alone in the mountains and the seas. Although I was lonely, I was used to it. But in this life, it's different. In the lower 3 heavens, I have brothers and comrades. At least, everyone is working hard for the same goal. In the upper 3 heavens, it's even more so. I have brothers who share life and death with me. When one of them points, everyone will step forward at the same time. But in the upper 3 heavens, what do I have? Or you can say that I have a clan and parents. I have a connection with the law enforcement officers and a relationship with Han Shaoran. But all these are just water and sand. They're not worth mentioning. My family, my parents, I want to protect them all the time. This doesn't mean that they're a burden to me. On the contrary, my clan and relatives are my responsibilities. As a man, there are some responsibilities that I have to bear. My clan and relatives are one of the most important. So I won't allow my clan to be involved in disputes. As for the law enforcement officers, we're only cooperating now. Everyone's giving their true feelings. But once my real identity is exposed, will Han Shaoran, Sha Xinliang and Qin Baoshan help me? Or will they help the law enforcement officers? This is something that I don't even need to consider. Other than this, what else do I have? there's nothing left. Chu Yang smiled lightly. I'm just a lonely person. At present, I have lost contact with my brother. In the upper three heavens, there's Dong Wushang, Rui Badong, and Emole. But now, I don't know where they are. I can only keep my head down and move forward step by step. I don't even know where my next goal is. I can only use all kinds of schemes and tricks to blindly stir up a storm in the sky. Chu Yang smiled faintly. Such days are really depressing. I understand that I'm too eager for quick success, and I also understand that this kind of mentality is not desirable. Chu Yang calmly analyzed his own heart and thoughts. But what can I do? I can only try my best to get as many experts as I can. I want to increase my bargaining chip. Fourth stage Sword Sovereign. This cultivation isn't low. It's even to the extent that such a cultivation can already dominate an area in the upper three heavens. However, what am I in the upper three heavens? Don't you see that as long as the big clans roam the pugilistic world, they are at least at the monarch level? I understand that one Renjie and the others may not be so reliable, and may not be willing to live and die with me. Wei Wuyan has his own principles, but I can only give it a try. Even if there's only a slight chance, I still have to give it a try. Chu Yang sighed deeply and said, I lack too many helpers now. The sword spirit was silent and didn't say anything. Chu Yang was right. Since Chu Yang came to the upper three heavens, Chu Yang's achievements were remarkable in terms of the mission of the Tribulation Sword. He successfully eradicated the internal strife within the clan, and even made use of the foreshadowing previously to stir up a storm among the big clans, causing them to kill each other. Recently, he even used his identity as a divine doctor to stir up a conflict between the law enforcement officers and the Shi clan. He even stirred up a conflict between the Huang clan, the Yi clan, and the Shao clan. It seemed that the entire upper three heavens was in chaos because of this. However, after careful analysis, one would know that these conflicts were too superficial. As long as the law enforcement officers and the Dharma Supreme weren't idiots, they wouldn't allow the conflict between Han Shaoran and the Shi clan to expand. The conflict between the Shao clan, the Huang clan, and the Yi clan was also superficial. They were just venting their anger. There would definitely not be a life and death struggle between the three clans. And the one with the deepest conflict was Li Xiongtu's Li clan. However, the Li clan's crisis only lay with Li Xiongtu. If Li Xiongtu died, then the situation would immediately revert to its original state. Moreover, this was basically a conspiracy, and there was a possibility of it being exposed. Looking at it now, Chu Yang was really helpless. Other than the relatively weaker Chu clan, the only ones who could really help him now were one Renjie and his two brothers, whom he saved last night. However, these few people, compared to the 10,000 years of heritage of the big clans, were nothing. Chu Yang sighed deeply. The sword spirit also sighed deeply. At this moment, the two realized one thing almost at the same time. Sometimes, a conspiracy didn't mean everything. Chu Yang was silent and started to dismember the human face rainbow spider. The tribulation sword was extremely sharp. With one slash, a big piece of the human face rainbow spider's body would fall off. Chu Yang started from the 8 legs of the human face rainbow spider. At the joint of one leg, a round and crystal-clear pearl the size of a walnut rolled out. This is the pearl of the spider. In the body of this human face rainbow spider, there are 8 such pearls. The sword spirit explained, this is a luminous pearl. Other than its astronomical value, it doesn't have much help for martial cultivation and spirit. However, you can exchange it for a huge amount of purple crystals. Of course, you have to find the right person. Chu Yang nodded and kept the pearl. With a swoosh, he cut open the second leg. In just a moment, the 8 legs of the human face rainbow spider were all cut open by Chu Yang, and he took out 8 round pearls of the same size. 8 luminous pearls. In the dark forest, they emitted a dim light. It formed a dense halo of light, gentle and cold. The value of each pearl was priceless. Chu Yang only took a glance at it before keeping it into the tribulation space. Then, he slashed the head of the human face rainbow spider with his sword. With a schwa sound, The spider's huge head exploded, and a fist-sized pearl that emitted a colorful light rolled out. This is a poison pill. The sword spirit's face was serious. It can transform into thousands of poisons. It's an extremely vicious thing. He sighed quietly, as if he could see what kind of mountains of corpses and seas of blood this poison pill would cause in Chu Yang's hands. Cut open its body and take out its inner core. Then, you can completely abandon this ugly body. The sword spirit said lightly, "This is your first inner core of a 10th grade spirit beast. Together with the 8 luminous pearls, it will shine in the medicine banquet. It will exchange for countless purple crystals and elixirs that you urgently need." Chu Yang finally revealed a smile on his face. He took out the inner core of the human face rainbow spider and admired it for a while before putting it in the tribulation space. Then, he dug a hole and buried the huge spider's body. Wei Wuyan was still unconscious, but his breathing had completely stabilized. Chu Yang checked the efficacy of the medicine and put down a luminous pearl beside him. After all, this was a product of a 10th grade spirit beast. With this pearl here, no wild beast would dare to enter within a radius of hundreds of miles. Then, Chu Yang straightened up and shot into the dense forest like a sharp sword. He was going to find the earthly soul ginseng. Along the way, it became more and more eerie. Finally, after advancing for more than 10 miles, the sword spirit warned, "Stop. The cliff opposite here should be the nest of the human face rainbow spider." Chu Yang looked up and saw a whole swamp opposite. In the swamp, there were actually countless skulls floating up and down, making the atmosphere here full of eerie horror. But the opposite was, on the opposite side of the swamp, there was a straight cliff. Chapter 871. Chula was waiting anxiously, but she saw that Chu Yang had already turned back quickly. He was still carrying a bloody and seriously injured person in his arms. She couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. In her little heart, she couldn't help but feel a little strange. Big Brother seems to have come out to do good deeds. Look at how enthusiastic he is, saving one person after another. Has he really found his conscience? A doctor has the heart of a parent? Just as she was thinking, Chu Yang had already arrived in front of her. Make way. This guy's injuries are too serious. He's already lost his life. Chu Le couldn't help but exclaim, Isn't this the person who tried to snatch a rabbit leg from me but failed?" If Wei Wuyan could hear this sentence now, he would definitely faint. What kind of person am I? I actually failed to snatch a rabbit leg from a little girl? Chu Yang pulled the bedding in the carriage down to the ground. He found an empty space and stretched out his hand to sweep it. It was flat and tidy. Then he spread the bedding on the flat ground and placed Wei Wuyan on it. It was noon now. Although it was already early autumn, the weather was still very hot. Chu Yang placed Wei Wuyan at the most sunny position. Then he began to fly around and cut off all the branches and trees that were blocking the sunlight, so that the sunlight would be more abundant. Then he took out silver needles without stopping. In the blink of an eye, 30 silver needles were inserted into Wei Wuyan's head. Then, the silver needles trembled. Along with the trembling of the silver needles, Wei Wuyan's head also slowly became brighter. This was the way Chu Yang used the silver needles to prick the blood. He used a special position to fill a certain part of Wei Wuyan's head with a special attraction, attracting the noon sun to strengthen the irradiation of that part. Using the pure yang energy of heaven and earth, Chu Yang accelerated the recovery of Wei Wuyan's brain. After a while, Wei Wuyan's head actually seemed to be glowing, emitting a blazing light. His hair also seemed to be a little dry and curly. Chu Yang shouted and instantly took out the silver needles. After a little treatment, he used the same method to prick Wei Wuyan's heart, and finally his dantian. After 3 rounds of pure yang qi into his body, Wei Wuyan's complexion looked much better. His chest could even be seen faintly moving up and down. Chu Yang heaved a sigh of relief. He took out the incomplete heavy pill from his bosom and poured the vitality spring water into it. Then, he took out another pill and poured it into his mouth. Chu Lur rested her chin on her hand as she watched from the side. It was as if she was watching a magic show. The sword spirit was in the tribulation space. Seeing how Chu Luo was looking at it with great interest, he couldn't help but have an idea. He said, "Chu Yang, don't sell the poisonous core and inner core of this 10th grade human face rainbow spider. If you can find a suitable body constitution, it can create a top poison expert for you." "A top poison expert in the world?" Chu Yang frowned. "Yes, don't forget that you still have a complete copy of the Guide to the World of Poisons. Once the Guide to the World of Poisons is combined with the inner core and poisonous core of the human face rainbow spider, its cultivation and power will definitely surpass that of the poison doctor, Wu Jueqing," the sword spirit said lightly. Chu Yang smiled faintly and said, "It's a beautiful idea. But to find such a person who's loyal and devoted to me is harder than ascending to the heavens." "It's not hard," the sword spirit said. "There's one beside you." Chu Yang's eyebrows slowly knitted together tightly and his voice became cold. "You mean, what?" "Yes, Chu Lu is so young, but she has already endured the cruelest torture in the world. Her temperament is already more tenacious than anyone else in the world. As long as her illness is cured, she will be the best candidate to cultivate the Guide to the World of Poisons. And her future achievements will definitely surpass Wu Jueqing's." Chu Yang's face turned into a block of ice. The sword spirit hurriedly said, "Moreover, cultivating this poison technique will not harm Chu Lu'er's body at all. On the contrary, it will increase her ability to protect herself countless times. And Chu Lu'er has a steady temperament and knows her limits. She won't act rashly." He could tell that Chu Yang didn't want his sister to cultivate this kind of evil poison technique at all, so he hurriedly explained. Chu Yang's face darkened and he said, "We'll discuss this matter again." The sword spirit sighed. Although Chu Yang said that he would discuss it again, his tone was stiff. Even a fool could tell that it was impossible for Chu Yang to let Chu Lu cultivate the poison technique. Right at this moment, Wei Wen, who was on the ground, moaned softly and opened his eyes. Then he shut his mouth abruptly. That was because even this number 1 blood payer expert couldn't bear the immense pain that he suddenly felt when he woke up. But he actually didn't make a sound. Other than the moan he made when he was unconscious, he actually didn't make any sound at all. Wei Wuyan felt his own body and couldn't help but reveal a strange look in his eyes. Although he couldn't move now, he already felt that his body was fine. As long as his broken spine recovered, he would be able to stand up right away. What was going on? Wasn't he already dead? Wei Wuyan still had lingering fears when he thought of the battle between himself and that monster that night. He tried his best to turn his head and saw Chu Yang and Chu Lu. He couldn't help but be shocked. It's you who saved me?" Chu Yang sighed. Brother Wei, what happened to you? How did you end up like this?" Wei Wuyan sighed. "It's a long story." Chu Yang said, "Then you should circulate your martial arts to recover first and let the medicine take effect. We'll talk about it again when you feel better." Wei Wuyan blinked and closed his eyes. Wei Wuyan's feelings were extremely complicated. He knew that with his injuries, he was already dead for sure. With such serious injuries, he even felt that his divine spirit was about to shatter. Even if all the divine doctors in the Medicine Valley gathered together, they might not be able to save his life. But with such serious injuries, this young man whom he met by chance could actually save him. Since Chu Yang could save him, he could definitely make him recover. So Wei Wuyan wasn't worried about anything now. He only had a complicated feeling in his heart. He had never owed anyone any favors in his life. Even if it was a drop of water, he would repay it with a gushing spring. This had created his unique character. He was also extremely proud in his heart. In this world, who doesn't owe people anything? Only I, Wei Wen. Although I'm called Wuyan, most people in the world have no face in front of me. Previously, I ate his rabbit and drank his wine, and I was still brooding over it. Now, Chu Yang dragged me back from death and even helped me recover my cultivation. This was a genuine life-saving grace and the grace of rebirth. He didn't owe anyone anything in his life. How could he repay such a great kindness? Wei Wuyan actually felt hesitant. So after he woke up, he didn't say any words of thanks. How could such a great kindness be spoken out in words? After a long time, Wei Wuyan exhaled softly and woke up. He tried to move his arms. He could already lift them up. He could also turn his neck without any hindrance. He could feel his 2 legs, but they were in great pain. Only his waist was still numb. Occasionally he would feel a sharp pain or an itchy and numb feeling. "How is it?" Chu Yang's voice came over. "Only my waist is left." Wei Wuyan felt his body. He felt that his true energy had begun to condense in his dantian. The joy of being reborn almost made him cry. "Your waist bone is broken. It's not a matter of a day or 2. Chu Yang nodded. "Don't move." Suddenly, Chu Yang hooked his leg on his waist and turned his body over. Wei Wuyan exclaimed, "Ouch! Be gentler." Chu Yang's unceremonious turn almost made him faint from the pain. He was caught off guard, and even a few drops of tears fell out. Chu Yang snorted, "When I brought you back, you were still rude. I didn't see you shouting." Wei Wuyan thought, "I didn't know anything at that time. Even if you cut me into 8 pieces, I wouldn't feel anything. How should I shout?" Just as he was about to speak, he felt that Chu Yang had already pressed his leg flat on his broken waist bone. Even though Wei Wuyan boasted of being a man of iron, he couldn't help but scream, "Ouch! Are you treating a disease? Your heart is too black." Chu Yang snorted, "Too black? Haven't you heard of the Black Heart Saint? It's me. If my heart isn't black, how can I have such a good reputation?" Wei Wuyan was taken aback. One of the doubts in his heart was finally solved. "No wonder. Little brother, you're the Black Heart Saint, who specializes in treating old terminal illnesses. No wonder you have such skills." Chu Yang took off his shoe with one foot and stepped on Wei Wuyan's waist with his bare foot, rubbing back and forth. Wei Wuyan was moaning and talking at the same time. He felt a cool sensation passing through his broken lumbar bones. It was indescribably comfortable. This was really a mixture of ice and fire. He was in so much pain that he wanted to die, and on the other hand, he was so comfortable that he wanted to moan. "Are you a dead person?" Chu Yang said exasperatedly, "I'm dripping medicinal water into your body. Why aren't you circulating your martial power to flush the meridians in your waist? This is vitality spring water. Do you have to waste it for me?" Oh. Wei Wuyan hurriedly began to circulate his martial power. "No wonder I'm recovering so quickly. It turns out that this little brother has the legendary holy water, vitality spring water. Sigh, this favor is really big." Wei Wuyan circulated his martial power and sighed in his heart. "It turns out that Chu Yang has given me such a magical medicine. This is the vitality spring water that is said to be 1 life for 1 drop of water. How much vitality spring water did you use?" Wei Wuyan asked this question out of curiosity. "I only have a total of half a caddy. I've already given you 3.5 liters. Now, half a cup has entered your body. You still have to use the remaining little bit later." Chu Yang said somewhat unwillingly, "How much do you want? Anyway, when you recover, I'll only have a drop of this stuff left." Wei Wuyan sighed and muttered, "I've never owed anyone anything in my life. I didn't explode for a day, and I've already exploded. I feel much better now. Last night, when I woke up after sleeping for more than 10 hours, both my legs were floating. It's not that I didn't want to explode yesterday. I really wanted to expand the battle results. But at that time, I really couldn't do it. Everyone didn't understand, and I couldn't do anything about it. And last night, even if I tried my best, I couldn't explode. This update makes up for yesterday's update. I'll continue to write today's update. I'm begging my brothers and sisters for monthly votes." Chapter 872. Part 7 Chapter 148 Amethyst Han Chu Yang exerted force on his leg, making this number 1 blood payer howl like a pig being slaughtered. Then, he said lightly, "Do you think you owe me?" Wei Wuyan's tears and snot came out from Chu Yang's kick just now. He hummed and said with a nasal voice, "I owe you." Chu Yang exerted force on his leg again and asked, "How are you going to repay me? The brother Wei who has never owed anyone anything in his life?" Wei Wuyan said with pain in his body, mind and soul, "Then tell me how I can repay you." Ouch, Before he finished his words, his waist was kicked again. Wei Wuyan opened his mouth and howled. He gasped for breath and his eyes turned white. He couldn't even speak. Chu Yang smiled evilly. I often hear people say that if you can't repay a life-saving grace, you can only repay it with your body. Wei Wuyan choked and coughed. I don't have that ability, Chu Yang said. Then be a cow or a horse. Wei Wuyan sighed. Sigh, this is true. I can only do so. Chu Yang was stunned. Do you really want to be a cow or a horse for me? Wei Wuyan sighed deeply. Damn it. Other than this, I have no other way to repay you, Chu Yang said strangely. You can use the purple crystals you've earned over these years to repay me. There should be at least a few 100,000 purple crystals. Wei Wuyan's face turned pale. I don't even have a single purple crystal now. Chu Yang was shocked. Then where did the purple crystals go after so many years of being a blood payer and completing so many tasks? Wei Wuyan sighed deeply. His expression was extremely painful. He seemed to have something that he couldn't say. Chu Yang's eyes flashed and he didn't ask further. Chu Yang used his leg to twist Wei Wuyan's waist again. He used the heaven-splitting divine technique to force the vitality spring water directly into Wei Wuyan's waist. Then he removed his leg from Wei Wuyan's body. Try again. Wei Wuyan followed Chu Yang's instructions and was surprised to find that the spiritual energy had already passed through the meridians in his waist. Of course, the pain was also doubled. But how could Wei Wuyan care about this pain? As long as there was a feeling, there would be hope. He tried to move and said, I still can't stand up. Chu Yang nodded. If you can stand up now, then it'll really be a miracle. Today, you don't have to do anything. Just circulate your energy over and over again, passing through the meridians in your waist. Restore the vitality of that area and quickly digest the medicinal efficacies of the vitality spring water. Tomorrow morning, I'll prescribe some medicine for you, and you should be able to stand up. I can't prescribe the medicine now, the medicine is too concentrated, and you won't be able to withstand it now. Wei Wuyan nodded. The next day, when Chu Yang and Chu Lu came out of the tent, they found that Wei Wuyan was still lying straight on the ground. His body was covered with dense white fog. Chu Yang looked at the white fog and nodded. Wei Wuyan had absorbed the pure yang qi during the day and the pure yin qi during the night. Now they were close to merging. This was greatly beneficial to his injuries. When the sun came out and the sunlight shone on Wei Wuyan also stopped practicing at the same time. Chu Yang walked over with a bowl of black liquid. Drink this. Wei Wuyan didn't even look at it. He took the bowl and drank it in one gulp. In this bowl of medicinal soup, there was an incomplete version of the heavy pill that Chu Yang had melted in it. After drinking it for an hour, Wei Wuyan clearly felt that his lumbar bones seemed to be integrating piece by piece. He forcibly endured the numbing and painful feeling, as if a group of ants were biting his soul. He bit his lips and didn't say a word. After 2 hours, Wei Wuyan suddenly frowned. He opened his mouth and spat out a blood-colored gas. He spat it out straight from his mouth, and it sprayed out to 100 feet away. Then he moved his body. Chu Yang walked to him and stretched out his hand. Wei Wuyan shook his head resolutely. He supported himself with one hand on the ground and slowly sat up. After taking a few deep breaths, Wei Wuyan used both hands to support his lower back. He retracted his right foot and stepped on the ground. With a bit of strength, he finally stood up. He gasped for breath and stood upright. After a long time, his eyes turned red. He operated his martial power, and a hazy mist appeared in his eyes. Then, he turned around and stared at Chu Yang. After a while, he finally smiled. His vital qi flowed through his meridians. He knew that he had recovered. Perhaps he was still a little weak now, but in the current situation he would be the #1 blood payer again in less than 10 days. Little brother. Wei Wuyan smiled faintly and said, You're very amazing. Just because I saved you, you think I'm amazing? Chu Yang smiled. Wei Wuyan chuckled and said, When I was young, my father came from a business background. Our family was quite wealthy. However, there was one time when we were careless and got cheated, and we owed a huge debt. Every day, the debt collectors would pile up at my house. Wei Wuyan smiled and said, That feeling of owing others is really uncomfortable. So from then on, I swore that I would never owe anyone anything in my life. And you're the second person who can make me owe someone something. The first person is my master. My master saved me from danger and taught me martial arts. So, I respect him and owe him my whole life. Wei Wuyan looked at Chu Yang and said, "And you saved my life. I owe you my whole life too." Chu Yang waved his hand and said, "Brother Wei, it's really meaningless to talk about this." Wei Wuyan smiled, grabbed Chu Yang's hand and shook it hard. He didn't say anything. Chu Yang smiled and asked, "Brother Wei, there's one thing that I don't understand." Wei Wuyan said, "What's the matter?" Brother Wei's name has shaken the heavens these years. It can be said that you've earned countless purple crystals. But Brother Wei just mentioned that you don't have any. This makes me very puzzled. Chu Yang smiled and said, "Brother Wei probably won't misunderstand what I mean." "Absolutely not." Wei Wuyan looked at him thoughtfully and said, "So, little brother already knows that I'm Wei Wuyan." Chu Yang said lightly, "When I was healing you, the sudden recovery of spiritual energy in your body told me your identity. Your appearance is ordinary, your whole life is ugly, your sword is ugly, and your cultivation is extraordinary. Moreover, your jade pendant is engraved with your name. If I say that I don't know, then I'll be too hypocritical." Wei Wuyan laughed and said, "You're right." Chu Yang also laughed and said, "I didn't expect that I, Chu Yang, would actually save a famous big shot today." Wei Wuyan shook his head and laughed. Then, he returned to the original topic and said, "I don't want purple crystals. I'm also not interested in purple crystals. But I have to earn purple crystals because my master needs them." Chu Yang said, "Oh?" Wei Wuyan said deeply, "My master is injured. He needs a lot of purple crystals every day to suppress his injuries. He needs at least 300 purple crystals every day. Otherwise, his body will shrink. Without purple crystals for 3 days, he will completely lose his life. So, I can only try my best to earn purple crystals." Wei Wuyan took a breath and was a little embarrassed. "In the past 100 years, I've earned close to 10 million purple crystals. But now, I still can't make ends meet." Chu Yang frowned and frowned again. Finally, he said, "Purple crystal hand." "Yes, purple crystal hand." Wei Wuyan's eyes lit up. Chu Yang sighed and said, "This purple crystal hand is a common name. According to its real name, it's called Remnant Soul Exterminating Hand. After using this insidious method, one can only rely on the spiritual energy of purple crystals to stay alive. Without purple crystals, one's life will end. So, this martial art has another name, called Bankrupt Hand. It means that with this insidious method, not only will one lose his life, but he will also go bankrupt before he dies." Wei Wuyan's face was gloomy and he said, "You're right. Purple crystals need to be bought or exchanged. Even big clans can't afford such consumption. 300 purple crystals a day, 1,000 purple crystals a month, 100,000 purple crystals a year. And this is increasing slowly. In the beginning, it's only 50 purple crystals a day. Now, it's slowly increasing to 300 purple crystals, and it's still increasing. If one day, it rises to the point where it needs 10,000 purple crystals a day." He said in a daze, "How many years has it been?" "I've hunted spirit beasts and earned purple crystals by selling their inner cores. Later, when it rose to 80 purple crystals a day, I realized that I couldn't afford it like this. So, I went to accept rewards from blood payers. I could earn at least 3,000 purple crystals for each mission. I accepted several missions at the same time. After all these years, I've become numb to killing people. But my master's consumption is getting bigger and bigger. Now, I'm already mentally and physically exhausted. But I've never thought of giving up." Chu Yang smiled bitterly. "Mentally and physically exhausted? The time when you'll feel uncomfortable is yet to come." Wei Wuyan suddenly thought of something. He grabbed Chu Yang's hand and asked earnestly, "Little brother, can you cure this purple crystal hand?" Chu Yang shook his head silently. Wei Wuyan let go of his hand. His face was full of despair. Chu Yang said helplessly, "It's not that I can't cure it, but with my current level I still can't cure it." Chu Yang was also helpless. He didn't expect that he would encounter such insidious techniques one after another. The purple crystal hand was more insidious than any other martial arts. And there was no cure for it. Only heavy pills and heaven-splitting divine technique could cure it. But these two things were on one person, Tribulation Sword Master. Wei Wuyan was overjoyed. "Little brother, you mean, as long as your cultivation and medical skills improve, you can still cure it?" Chu Yang nodded and said, "For my martial arts, I have to wait until the 1st or 7th stage to expel the harm of the purple crystal hand. And now, I'm only at the 3rd stage." He wasn't lying. He couldn't give heavy pills to outsiders now, and the heaven-splitting divine technique was only at the beginning of the basic stage. It would only start to develop after he got the 5th fragment of the Tribulation Sword. But if he wanted to use the heaven-splitting divine technique to cure the purple crystal hand, he had to at least get the 5th fragment of the Tribulation Sword. "I can wait." Wei Wuyan's eyes were brimming with tears. His master could finally be saved. In the tribulation space, the sword spirit also became excited. "Ask him. Who's the person who did this to his master? This purple crystal hand contains a big secret. We have to find that person. We must find him." Today's first update. Begging for votes. Chapter 873. According to what I know, this purple crystal hand has already been lost. Chu Yang asked, "Intentionally or unintentionally, how was your master attacked by others? Is there anyone in the world who can use this kind of martial arts?" Wei Wuyan nodded. "Yes, that year, my teacher fought with the law enforcement master of the torture hall. After he came back, he realized that his injuries were very strange, and he needed to use purple crystals to suppress them. Then he immediately brought me to live in seclusion. Later, he realized that the place where we used to live had been burned to the ground." Chu Yang murmured, "Law enforcement master of the torture hall." Chu Yang didn't expect that this matter was related to the law enforcement officers again. In the calamity space, the sword spirit roared ferociously, "You must seriously injure this law enforcement master of the torture hall. As long as you don't want his life, the heavier the better. The heavier the better." Chu Yang sweated. "What's wrong with you? The purple crystal hand is one of the few unique martial arts that I can't master." The sword spirit said excitedly, "To practice the purple crystal hand, one must be in a completely enclosed purple crystal mine. Using the aura of the complete purple crystal to cultivate and extracting the aura of death from the purple crystal. Once it's completed, then the purple crystal hand must be suppressed with the purple crystal." Chu Yang said, "Of course I know this. Do you want the purple crystal mine?" The sword spirit said angrily, "Why do I want the purple crystal mine? Because the first section of the calamity sword has a characteristic, which is purple aura from the east. Only in such a place can it be hidden for 10,000 years. In other words, there's more than a 50% chance of finding the first section of the calamity sword in a place where one can practice the purple crystal hand. And as long as you completely injure the person who practices the purple crystal hand and injure his foundation, he can only recover after returning to the place where he practices the purple crystal hand. In this way, we can follow the clues and find the first section of the calamity sword." The sword spirit said hurriedly. "I see." Chu Yang's heart also started to beat rapidly. He only knew the whereabouts of the first 5 sections of the calamity sword, but he didn't have any clue about the rest. He didn't expect to get the news of the first section of the calamity sword here. This is really a surprise. Good people will be rewarded. Divine Dr. Chu's eyes were brimming with tears. "If I didn't save Wei Wuyan, how could I obtain such important information?" When the sword spirit heard the words "a doctor has the heart of a parent," he immediately became silent. Only her heart was filled with disdain. "You really dare to say this? If it wasn't, would you have saved Wei Wuyan?" "What do you mean by a doctor with the heart of a parent?" "Bullshit. Where is that person?" Chu Yang asked. "He's in Enforcer City." Wei Wuyan was a little dejected. Law enforcement city is full of experts. I've only been there once, and I was almost buried there. In the end, I escaped from the dog hole at the side of law enforcement city. Since we have his whereabouts, that makes things easier. Chu Yang suppressed the excitement in his heart, but he still couldn't suppress it. He said, since that's the case, let me think about how to temporarily suppress your master's illness. That's great, that's great. Chu Yang didn't even have time to shout out excitedly before Wei Wuyan had already gotten excited. When Wei Wuyan knew that Chu Yang actually had the ability to temporarily suppress the purple crystal hand, he was so excited that he almost forgot himself. He held Chu Yang's hand and said, "Little brother, from today onwards, I'll follow you. Wherever you go, I'll go." He had already made up his mind. No matter where Chu Yang went, he would resolutely follow him. He would rather die than leave Chu Yang. Firstly, it was to repay Chu Yang's kindness. He would protect Chu Yang's safety all the way. Secondly, he would come back to treat his master's purple crystal hand when Chu Yang's cultivation advanced to the next level. Follow me all the way? Protect me? Chu Yang smiled and said, "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Wei Wuyan nodded affirmatively. "Are you sure you won't regret it in the future?" Chu Yang frowned. "I advise you to think about it carefully. Following me is full of troubles." Wei Wuyan laughed and said heroically, "I'm the #1 blood payer, and I've caused so much trouble. Why would I be afraid of any trouble? Of course, I won't regret it." Chu Yang nodded with relief. "That's great. As long as you don't regret it, I've decided to agree to your request." Wei Wuyan said ecstatically, "Thank you, thank you, thank you so much." Thinking that he was about to get rid of that kind of huge debt, he couldn't help but feel refreshed. His body didn't seem to hurt anymore. Chu Yang was also in a good mood. "Finally, I have a personal bodyguard." In the space of tribulation, the sword spirit looked at Wei Wuyan with some pity and said, "This guy. It's really hard on him. He's actually so excited as if he's picked up a treasure. This poor guy probably doesn't know that following the Tribulation Sword Master is really much more dangerous and difficult than being the #1 blood payer. It's at least 100 times more dangerous. And he's actually so relieved." Wei Wuyan chuckled and said happily, "Then, when are we going to visit my master? Let's walk all the way to the White Mang Mountain, which is thousands of miles away, where my master lives in seclusion." Chu Yang said, "No hurry, I have 3 friends ahead. We'll set off together when we meet." How would Wei Wuyan know that the 3 friends that Chu Yang mentioned were the culprits, one Renjie and the others, who had caused him to end up like this? Hearing this, he said seriously, "No problem. Since they're your friends, then they're my friends too. Don't worry with me around, no one can hurt you." He actually took charge of everything. Wei Wuyan's injuries had just recovered, and he hadn't fully recovered yet. So, he could only sit in the carriage to recuperate. However, under Chu Yang's care, he had already recovered to normal after only 1.5 days. This made Wei Wuyan even more confident that Chu Yang could cure his master's purple crystal hand. Feeling the abundant cultivation, and freely moving his waist and legs that he thought that he would never be able to recover, Wei Wuyan was extremely satisfied. Even his character seemed to have become more cheerful. Along the way, Chu Yang's barbecue skills were also praised by Wei Wuyan. This #1 blood payer now came whenever he smelled the aroma, sat down, and drank. He was very casual. In his heart he thought, "Anyway, I can't pay off what I owe in this life. So, what's the harm in owing more?" He was actually full of the mentality of a dead pig not afraid of boiling water. When Wei Wuyan had such a mentality, he definitely didn't expect that this debt would be forever. Along the way, Chu Yang was practicing martial arts, playing with Chu Lure and amusing her. After Wei Wuyan recovered from his injuries, he played the role of a coachman. He sat upright on the horse's back, holding a whip in his hand and a worn-out wind sword on his waist. Even his eyes had regained their turbidity. At first glance, he really looked like a poor coachman. After 3 days, they finally arrived at the agreed location. This place was just like what Chu Yang had said earlier. It was surrounded by mountains and rivers, and the scenery was beautiful. After passing through the dense forest and suddenly seeing this place, one's eyes couldn't help but brighten up. An incomparably beautiful feeling arose in one's heart. This was a lake, and the water was clear. It was like a mirror, surrounded by mountains and lush trees. It was quiet and serene. It could be seen that it had been a long time since anyone had appeared here. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a beautiful natural scenery without any traces of destruction. At this moment, both Wei Wuyan and Chu Yang had a feeling of being far away from the mortal world, only in a dream. After a long time, Wei Wuyan sighed softly. This place really makes one unable to bear to do anything here. Even talking seems to disturb this beautiful atmosphere. Chu Yang nodded and admitted, yes, this is indeed an ideal place in a dream. If one can live in seclusion in such a place for the rest of one's life, that would really be the day of the immortals. Wei Wuyan became silent. After a long time, he said, live in seclusion for the rest of one's life. I've thought about it before, and I'm very eager to do so. But now, seeing this place and hearing the words live in seclusion for the rest of one, I'm actually a little uncertain, and even a little unwilling, Chu Yang said deeply. I can understand your feelings. Wei Wuyan smiled. Looking at Chu Yang's eyes, he knew that Chu Yang truly understood his feelings at this moment. He couldn't help but feel a trace of warmth in his heart. That was when one still had concerns in this mortal world, and felt that one's life's ambitions had yet to be fulfilled, but at this time, one found an ideal place to live in seclusion. That was when one made the decision to leave this paradise even after the contradiction and spiritual conflict. Only then would one feel a sudden sense of melancholy in one's heart. Leduo is ultimately a Leduo. When you discover your final Leduo one day, you will instead turn around and leave with an indescribable feeling. You will even do something that is absolutely opposite to your heart's Leduo. You will run away with your heart's Leduo. Chu Yang stood quietly by the lake, and his heart was filled with emotions. In these few days, Chu Yang had chatted with Wei Wuyan all the way, and he finally confirmed that Wei Wuyan was indeed a trustworthy person. This person never owed anyone anything in his life. In order to extend his master's life, this person had played the role of an ascetic monk for 100 years. Over these years, he had earned tens of millions of purple crystals, but he himself couldn't distinguish between them, and he was destitute. He clearly knew that his master's injury was a bottomless pit, and sooner or later, it would drag him to his death. But Wei Wuyan had never given up easily. He clearly knew that it was a pit of eternal damnation, but he persisted for 100 years. He didn't keep a single piece of the purple crystals that he had earned. He gave them all to his master, and they turned into a pile of meaningless powder in his master's hands. If this kind of person wasn't trustworthy, then in this world, there weren't many people who could be trusted. A cry of joy came from the carriage. Chu popped her head out and discovered this lake. She jumped out excitedly and ran all the way over. While running, she threw off her shoes and jumped into the lake barefoot. Then, she thought of something and turned back with a red face. I want to take a bath. You're not allowed to look. Chu Yang and Wei Wuyan laughed. They pulled up a curtain to cover Chu Le, and then both of them sat under a tree, breathing in the fresh air here. Both of them were so happy and comfortable that they didn't want to talk. This was a kind of absolute relaxation from the body to the soul. After a long time, Chu Yang asked as if he was sleep-talking, Brother Wei, do you want to owe me more? Wei Wuyan also said as if he was in a dream, yes, begging for a few monthly votes. Tomorrow I'll explode. I can't not explode. But I don't dare to write 10 chapters a day anymore. God knows, that's a kind of feeling of almost dying. I'm in a trance, so sleepy that I can't sleep. After taking Valium and sleeping for a while, my legs feel weak when I wake up. That kind of feeling almost makes me think that I've contracted myasthenia gravis. What a terrible feeling. Brothers and sisters, help me vote a few more monthly votes tonight to hold on. I'll wake up early tomorrow morning to write, and there should be an update in the morning. She was dressed neatly and her hair was dripping with water. She pouted and said, Big brother, help me comb my hair. Chu Yang laughed and said, Okay, I'll comb your hair. As he spoke, he took out a comb and began combing his younger sister's hair. Wei Wuyan said enviously, "You siblings have such a good relationship." Chu Yang said, "I only have one sister. Of course, I would love and cherish her like a treasure." Wei Wuyan sighed and said with a little melancholy, "I remember back then. I also had a younger sister." As he spoke, he was a little lost in thought. Chu Yang smiled quietly and didn't say anything. He knew that Wei Wuyan's heart must be very sour now that he had recalled the past. Thus, he didn't disturb him anymore. Chu Le's bright eyes turned and she didn't say anything. After a long while, Wei Wuyan said with a hoarse voice, "My younger sister wasn't suitable for cultivation. She got married and had many grandchildren. She lived until she was 80 years old and died without any illness. When she was dying, I was by her side. The last time I combed her hair, I was the one who combed her hair. My younger sister held my hand and said that if there was a next life, she would still be willing to be my younger sister." Wei Wuyan choked and his Adam's apple moved up and down a few times. He didn't say anything else. Looking at Chu Yang combing Chu Le's hair, his eyes were full of envy. "How I wish to comb my younger sister's hair again." Chu Yang and Chu Le didn't say anything. They just stood quietly. One was sitting and the other was standing. Behind them was an infinitely beautiful scenery of the lake and mountains. A young man was combing his younger sister's hair with a face full of tenderness. At the side, someone was watching with infinite envy. All of these combined to form a beautiful picture. Chu Le's hair was much thicker. Obviously, during this period of time, her body had recovered very well. The pain of the abscess that had plagued her for more than 10 years was suddenly gone. During this period of time, Chu Yang, the peerless doctor, had also prepared food for her according to her body's needs. Her body was now as healthy as the healthiest girl. Chu Yang was combing her hair. When the comb slid to the middle of her shiny black hair, he suddenly felt that his hand was gently grabbed by Chu Le. He couldn't help but be startled and looked at Chu Le. Chu Le turned back and looked at her brother. With a smile in her eyes and deep affection, she said softly, "Big brother, if there is a next life, I would still be willing to be your younger sister." Sigh. Chu Yang's hand trembled. Wei Wuyan, who was at the side, suddenly let out a muffled cough from his throat. Then, he turned his head abruptly. 2 drops of tears fell to the ground as he turned his head. This tranquil lakeside was filled with a sentimental atmosphere in an instant. Chu Le let go of her hand and sat down obediently, allowing Chu Yang to comb her hair. Chu Yang's movements were gentle and practiced. Chu Le couldn't help but giggle. She said, "Big brother, you're quite skilled. Did you comb girls' hair often in the past?" Chu Yang coughed and said, "Me? I combed your sister-in-law's hair often some time ago. I've become proficient in it." Chu Le was immediately interested. "My sister-in-law? What does she look like?" Chu Yang rubbed his nose awkwardly and said, "About the same as you." Chu Le wrinkled her little nose. "Why?" She thought to herself, "Since she's my sister-in-law, she should be at least 17 or 18 years old, right? No matter how smart this little girl is, she would never think that her sister-in-law is even younger than her now. A typical soybean sprout. Big brother is really a good man. You even comb sister-in-law's hair." Chu Le had a longing look on her face. "Sister-in-law is pretty, right?" Chu Yang coughed again. "About the same as you." Chu Le giggled and said, "Big brother, why didn't you bring sister-in-law back to take a look? Where's sister-in-law now?" Chu Yang sighed and thought to himself, "If I bring that little grandaunt back now, I'll have to coax these 2 little girls at the same time. That'll really kill me. Both of them are hard to please." At this moment, Wei Wuyan, who had been silent all this while, suddenly raised his head with a vigilant look on his face. He clearly felt that there were 3 strong auras coming towards them rapidly. And they were very familiar with them. His eyes flashed and he was filled with murderous intent. In the forest opposite, the 3 auras stopped. A voice said in bewilderment, "What's going on? Why does it seem like there's an enemy in front? It makes me feel very wrong." Another person said, "Yes, it's creepy." Another voice said, "Big senior brother and second senior brother are right." Chapter 875. Wei Wuyan roared and flew into the woods like a big bird. He clapped his palms together, and a thunderous sound was heard, 3 bastards. The 3 people reacted at the same time. I was wondering why it felt familiar. It's this guy. The 4 of them fought fiercely. The moment their chi came into contact with each other, the calm surface of the lake was suddenly stirred up like a typhoon. The lake water was swept up into the sky, reaching a height of 1,000 feet. When it fell back down, it was already turbid. The latest chapter of the Holy Hall. The wind whistled, and countless trees flew into the air. Sand and pebbles flew everywhere. It was extremely terrifying. This was just the beginning. The small world that was still quiet and peaceful just now suddenly became a mess. There was no longer any beautiful, artistic conception. Chu Yang sighed deeply. Wei Wuyan was full of confidence. He felt that it would be a piece of cake to deal with these 3 guys after he became a supreme martial artist. But he didn't expect that it would be even more difficult. The other party's cultivation seemed to have increased along with his cultivation. Could it be that the power of the joint attack technique had increased? Wei Wuyan was puzzled, but he didn't relax his hands. Stop! Chu Yang shouted. He's one of us. The 4 people were confused at the same time. In the blink of an eye, Chu Yang had already rushed in like a whirlwind. The 4 people were afraid of hurting him, so they all landed on the ground. 4th brother, Wan Renjia said puzzledly, how did this bastard become one of us? Yes, 4th brother, Cheng Duing said sullenly, he's our enemy. Little brother, big brother and 2nd brother are right. Bao Buhuan scratched his head and said. Chu Yang smiled bitterly, he's indeed one of us. As he said, Wei Wuyan also came over. What's going on? Chu Yang said doubtfully, didn't I tell you that I saved 3 people before saving you? It's the 3 of them. What's wrong with Net? Do you know them? We know them? The 4 people were a little dizzy at the same time. We don't just know them. These 3 guys aren't good people. Wei Wuyan pulled Chu Yang over and solemnly warned, you have to be careful. Wan Renjia pulled Chu Yang over and said seriously, 4th brother, this guy is not a good person. Why are you with him? This guy is a money grubber. He'll do anything for money. The 2 of them each pulled one of Chu Yang's arms and glared at each other like tigers watching their prey. Chu Yang said helplessly, he's really one of us. He said to Wan Renjia, big brother, I met this brother Wei a few days ago. He was injured, so I helped him a little and saved his life. Wan Renjia stared back at him. You saved him? How can you save this bastard? He wants to use my head to exchange for the bounty. My fucking big head is only worth 70,000 purple crystals in his eyes. Chu Yang said to Wei Wuyan, this is Wan Renjia, my sworn brother. At that time, their situation was similar to yours. The process was also similar, Wei Wuyan said angrily. How can I not know that? If it weren't for these 3 bastards, I wouldn't be in such a miserable state that I need your help. Cheng Duing said angrily, what nonsense is this? If you didn't take the initiative to find fault with us, why would we make things difficult for you? If we can't even fill our stomachs, how would we have nothing to do? Wei Wuyan said angrily, nonsense. Who doesn't want to eat? If it weren't for the fact that your big brother's head is valuable, I wouldn't even bother to lay my hands on him. Listen, listen, listen. Wan Renjia was so angry that his whole body trembled. 4th brother, let go of me. I must twist off his head and kick it like a ball today. If I can't do it, I'll let you down for helping me raise my cultivation. Wei Wuyan was dumbfounded. Their cultivation was also raised by you? Chu Yang spread out his hands. I have a total of 4 purple cloud pills with me, and the 4 of you have 1 each. It's very equal. The 4 of them felt dizzy at the same time. There's such a coincidence. Then, Chu Yang asked tentatively, we're all friends now. Do you still want to fight? The 4 of them looked at each other and became discouraged at the same time. Wan Renjia glared at him and said, Wei Wuyan, do you still want to kill me? Wei Wuyan turned his head and said lightly, I'm suddenly not interested in your head anymore. Wan Renjia said angrily, you can kill me whenever you want and not kill me whenever you want? What do you mean? Seeing that the two of them were about to quarrel again, Chu Yang hurriedly mediated. Chu Lu also ran over to mediate. When Wan Renjie saw Chu Lu, his eyebrows and eyes immediately softened. He asked about Wei Wuyan's well-being and didn't have time to care about him anymore. Net, everyone sat down and prepared to eat. Then both sides were puzzled. Chu Yang had no choice but to tell Wei Wuyan about how he saved Wan Renjie and the other two. Then, he told them about how he saved Wei Wuyan again. He talked until his mouth was dry. Before he finished, the food was ready. So, he talked while eating. Wan Renjie and the others instantly felt better. It turns out that this guy is more miserable than us. Ah! Cheng Duing laughed out loud. This is really retribution for the wicked. Wei Wuyan thought that he was an invincible hero, but who knew that he would step into the gates of hell and end up like this because of a wild beast? This is really satisfying. Wei Wuyan said angrily, "What wild beast? You find a wild beast to see if it's powerful or not. That's a 10th grade spirit beast." 10th grade. Cheng Duing curled his lips. No matter whether it's a 10th grade spirit beast or a 1st grade spirit beast, it's a fact that you were bullied by a beast. And you almost died. If it weren't for our 4th brother, you'd be a pile of bones now. Well, in this case, you owe us a favor. Bao Buhuan interrupted. "Second brother, you're wrong. What do you mean by a pile of bones? If it weren't for our 4th brother, he'd be a pile of feces now." Chu Lu vomited. Wan Renjie turned his head and was very unhappy. "What are you talking about? Why are you talking about feces when we're eating? Can you not talk about feces when we're eating in the future? Do you know that people will vomit if they talk about feces when they're eating?" He said that he didn't want them to talk about feces, but his mouth was full of feces. Chu Lu covered her mouth and ran out. She ran behind a tree and started to vomit. Wan Renjie was furious at once. He glared at Bao Buhuan and said, "Tell me, what should I say to you? I told you not to talk about feces, but you insisted on talking about feces. Look, Lur's vomiting. It's all your fault for talking about feces." Everyone was speechless. Chu Yang was chewing a piece of meat in his mouth. Suddenly, he felt that it was tasteless. He couldn't help but want to vomit. He really couldn't swallow it. Wei Wuyan and Cheng Duing also stopped eating and looked at Wan Renjie with strange expressions. Chu finally came back. Are you okay?" Wan Renjie went up to her considerately and said with heartache, "It's all this guy's fault for talking about feces when we're eating. I've already scolded him. He won't talk about feces when we're eating in the future." Chu Lu vomited and ran back again. Wei Wuyan couldn't bear it anymore. He stood up and punched Wan Renjie in the face. Then he went up to Wan Renjie and gnashed his teeth. "I'll fucking let you talk about feces. Today, I'll beat you into feces." Wan Renjie was furious. "Second brother, third brother, come quickly." Cheng Duing and Bao Buhuan swallowed their saliva and looked on gloatingly. Their inaction caused Wan Renjie to suffer a solid beating. Wei Wuyan rode on his body and was as heavy as a mountain. He waved his fists and smashed them down one by one. Banging sounds could be heard. After a long time, Wan Renjie sat there with a bloody nose and a swollen face. He kept complaining that his 3 brothers didn't have the code of brotherhood. They didn't help their big brother when he was being beaten up. This was simply outrageous. The 3 of them just took his words as nonsense and ignored him. After a long time, Bao Buhuan finally said, "Big brother, to be honest, I'm already very loyal to my big brother for not beating you up together with him." Chu Yang and Cheng Duing nodded repeatedly. They felt that Bao Buhuan's words really touched their hearts. Wan Renjie was stunned. Wei Wuyan, Chu Yang, Cheng Duing, Bao Buhuan and Chu Lu all said in unison, "Feces." Wan Renjie's face was full of saliva. In the afternoon, everyone washed up by the lake and felt refreshed. Then, they lay on the beach and chatted. "Big brother, have you done that thing?" Chu Yang asked casually. "Don't mention it," Wan Renjie and the other 2 said sulkily. "We really didn't have the chance to do it." "What?" Chu Yang suddenly sat up. "What happened?" "Both clans are heavily guarded. During this period of time, they started to assassinate each other without us doing anything. They've already become jittery and paranoid. When we went there, they were almost in the same lineup, close to each other and watching each other. Those on guard outside are all experts. We didn't have the chance to do anything at all. One Renjia said, and this time, the Yi clan has hidden a supreme martial artist here. Once we do it, we don't have the confidence to escape. That way, we won't be able to achieve the purpose of framing them. He sighed. Our supreme martial artist is fake. Theirs is the real deal. There's no way to compare. Chu Yang frowned. How can there be a supreme martial artist in charge of this kind of conflict? This doesn't make sense. Cheng Duing said, I heard that the supreme martial artist is Yi Shisan's backer or someone else. But no matter what, there's definitely a supreme martial artist in charge. Chu Yang nodded silently and said, so, you didn't do anything? We didn't do anything. One Renjie felt a little embarrassed. He lowered his voice and said, that's because I wanted to come back and discuss with fourth brother. Since you didn't do anything, we might as well make a new plan. Chu Yang said, this isn't a problem. Draw a map for me later and point out the positions of both parties. Then, we'll do it together with old Wei. Wei Wuyan said, if little brother says to do it, I'll do it. But if little brother doesn't say to do it, I won't help them. One Renjie was furious. Who wants your help? Both parties were about to quarrel again. Chu Yang was very annoyed. He raised his hands and surrendered. Can you stop quarreling? The two snorted and looked at each other fiercely. Then they lay back on the beach. It was nighttime. The five of them abandoned the carriage and covered their faces. Carrying Chu Lur on his back, Wei Win quietly used his lightness kung fu to travel 500 miles and came to the edge of the Black Pine Forest. This side is from the Yi clan. 7 to 8 miles away from here is the Shao clan, one Renjie quietly reminded Chu Yang. Get ready to act. Chu Yang's eyes were cold. We have to fulfill Big Brother's wish before we leave. Second update. I continue to write. Third update. The first update is short of 1,000 words. I'll make up for it in the fourth update. Once he went online, he was shocked. In the blink of an eye, I'm behind by more than 100 votes. What the heck, it's so miserable. I'm not being penetrated, but directly penetrated. Brothers, the horn of counterattack is blown. Chapter 876. In these few days, the grievances between the Huang clan and the Shao clan seemed to have been put aside first. It became the Yi clan and the Shao clan fighting to the death. All along, the Yi clan's attitude had been very bad, while the Shao clan was very innocent and confused, and always wanted to explain some misunderstanding, but on that day, after 7th Master Shao woke up, the Shao clan's attitude had a 180-degree change. What the heck? Your Yi clan is too much of a bully. You rushed into our territory and killed our people. Now, you actually have the face to come knocking on our door like the guilty party complaining first? This is really intolerable. You really think that our Shao clan is easy to bully? After seeing the miserable state of 7th Master Shao, the entire Shao clan was furious. So, they fought fiercely with the Yi clan. Since then, the two clans were in a stalemate. Every day, there would be their own killers floating around in the huge Black Pine Forest, looking for opportunities. They didn't manage to assassinate many big shots, but the killers themselves fought several times. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous would win. One Renjie explained the situation in front of him, then looked at Chu Yang and asked, Fourth brother, how should we do it? Chu Yang's face was full of black lines. What's the name of this supreme martial artist of the Yi clan? Who are the important figures in the Yi clan? You didn't mention this, so how would I know what to do? One Renjie hurriedly smiled apologetically. This is a little negligent. Chu Yang rolled his eyes. How can this be negligent? This supreme martial artist of the Yi clan is Yi Wangran. But I think he's just become a first-stage supreme martial artist, and his realm isn't very stable, Cheng Duing commented. Of course, his realm is more stable than ours. As for the others, the important ones are the 8th master of the Yi clan, Yi Wuchen, and the 4th master of the Yi clan, Yi Wuten. These are Yi Wubua's 2 elder brothers. If we want to do it, we'll choose these 2. Wait. Chu Yang suddenly had an idea. It's a little difficult to kill Yi Wuchen and Yi Wutian under tight protection. Moreover, this supreme martial artist won't allow them to be killed. So, it's not easy, but if we can kill Yi Wangran directly, isn't this better? Kill Yi Wangran? The four of them looked at each other. She had never seen Yi Wangran in her life. Once she saw Yi Wangran, her soul would be shattered. Yi Wangran didn't gain his reputation by eating cabbages all these years. This person had a fierce reputation. Everyone else was cultivating in seclusion, but he was the only one who was active in Jianghu and never showed mercy when killing people. He had a ferocious personality. How could such a person, who was also a genuine supreme being, be easy to kill? The four of them thought highly of themselves and had just improved their cultivation. But even now, they admitted that they were no match for Yi Wangran, even if it was a joint attack. This was because the four of them clearly knew that their supreme martial artists were fake. He had forcefully raised his cultivation to the level of a supreme being, but his spiritual realm and soul realm had yet to reach that level. Moreover, he didn't have any supreme being comprehension. These four people were definitely not a match for one supreme being. Only those who suddenly had the epiphany of being a supremacy and endured the baptism of the heavenly lightning could become a supremacy. Now, Chu Yang actually wanted to kill Yi Wangran with the strength of four people? Are you sure you're not sending us to our deaths? Wei Wuyan asked cautiously. What are you talking about? Chu Yang rolled his eyes. Even if we can't kill him, if we cripple a supreme martial artist, it'll be a great blow to the Yi clan. Absolutely, absolutely impossible. The four of them said in unison with a solemn look, Brother, a supreme martial artist is different from other cultivations. Any sneak attack, plot or trick are useless in front of a supreme martial artist's divine senses. If you want to defeat a supreme martial artist, you can only use your strength fair and square. Otherwise, why is it so difficult to become a supreme martial artist? Because this supreme martial artist's divine senses are fundamentally different from ordinary divine senses. I see. Chu Yang could only admit that he was ignorant and inexperienced. Since this is the case, we can only do this. I'll lure Yi Wangran out, and you guys take the opportunity to kill him. No matter if it's Yi Wuchen or Yi Wutian, as long as we kill or cripple one of them, we'll retreat immediately and meet at the agreed place. We'll leave immediately. Chu Yang said deeply. That won't do. Yi Wangran's cultivation isn't something you can deal with. Wan Renjia shook his head. To put it bluntly, even if Yi Wangran blows at you, he'll be able to kill you. I have my own ways to deal with this. Chu Yang laughed. I have a kind of magical technique that can imitate all kinds of auras. I can even imitate the aura of a supreme martial artist. You just need to tell me who are the high-level supreme martial artists in the Shao clan. I'll choose one to impersonate. Chu Yang's eyes flickered. Suddenly, his expression changed, and an indescribable majestic aura emerged. He said in a vicissitude tone, For little friends, where are you going? It's really the aura of a supreme martial artist. And his divine senses spread out, covering the sky and earth. Within this small area, it was even filled with the power to cause the mountains to crumble and the earth to split open. The four of them gasped at the same time. It's really powerful. Brother Wei, carry Lure on your back and stay in the dark to support them, Chu Yang said to Wei Wuyan. Wei Wuyan nodded heavily. Don't worry. With me around, no one can hurt Liu. Chu Yang nodded. Let's start. The campsite of the Yi clan was shrouded in darkness. There were a total of 3 campsites arranged in a triangular formation. And all the trees nearby had been chopped down. Well, no, all the branches were gone, leaving only bare tree trunks. In such a dark night, one's hearing couldn't be deceived, but one's vision could be deceived. So, all the trees here had been cleared. When Chu Yang approached here, he finally understood the reason why Wan Renjie and the other 2 couldn't carry out the assassination after being reminded by the sword spirit. The surroundings of this campsite were filled with supreme martial artists' divine senses. From top to bottom, the supreme martial artist's divine senses were densely intertwined like a spider web. As long as one touched an invisible supreme martial artist's divine sense, The supreme martial artist who laid down the divine sense inside would be able to immediately identify whether the person was an enemy or a friend and attack accordingly. I see. Chu Yang stopped in his tracks. Looking at the empty night in front of him, he gasped, "Is this the real strength of a supreme martial artist?" "Yes," the sword spirit said, "only when one reaches this level can he be qualified to be called a supreme martial artist." The sword spirit also gasped and said, "So, Wei Wuyan and the others can't be considered as a supreme martial artist." The starting point of a supreme martial artist is the heavenly network's divine sense. The sword spirit said lightly, "And to a supreme martial artist, this kind of divine sense doesn't have a problem of consumption. Instead, it's a kind of cultivation. So, there won't be any supreme martial artist who overworks himself. This is a supreme martial artist." Chu Yang's eyes shone brightly. "This is the first supreme martial artist that you've come into contact with in the upper three heavens. Although he's only a first-grade supreme martial artist, although he's only a beginner. But I have to remind you that this supreme martial artist's ability is at least 3 times that of Wei Wuyan and the other 3 combined. So, when you propose to kill this supreme martial artist, you're actually courting your own death. And the kind of death where you can't even fight back. It's already very polite of them that they didn't beat you up on the spot." The sword spirit looked at Chu Yang somewhat mockingly. Chu Yang was a little embarrassed. "It's my fault. I didn't understand the situation. I'll explain to them afterwards and apologize for my mistake." The sword spirit looked at him with some surprise and said, "Yes. But it's fine as long as you say it clearly. There's no need to apologize." Chu Yang said lightly, "I almost sent them to their deaths. How can I not apologize? Moreover, this kind of mistake is already very fatal once. This kind of mistake comes from my smooth sailing. It can be said that I'm spoiled. It may not necessarily not happen again in the future. If I make such a mistake again in the future and don't correct it in time, it'll be a huge sacrifice. Of course, I know that apologizing hurts my self-esteem. But it's precisely because my self-esteem is hurt this time that I can firmly remember this matter." The sword spirit was silent for a long while. Finally, he sighed, "The reason why you can walk step by step to where you are today with your weak strength is indeed not luck. You often reflect on yourself 3 times a day, right? You didn't say it clearly in the past. So, I saw that every time you succeeded, there seemed to be an element of luck. But now, I finally understand that it's not luck. It's your exquisite calculations time and time again." Chu Yang nodded lightly, "That's why I'm where I am today. And my personality is completely different from my previous life. Because this time, the calculations will make my thinking more and more flexible and careful. Often reflecting on my mistakes and the conclusion after every adventure will let me automatically come up with the best countermeasure the next time I come into contact with the same situation." Chu Yang chuckled and said, "Actually, this is what I'm relying on. Having this is already the most amazing thing." The sword spirit praised sincerely, "This is something even more terrifying than the supreme martial artist's divine consciousness on the stone wall. Because a supreme martial artist may not realize his mistakes. But you can realize it from time to time. This is because I treat myself as an enemy." Chu Yang said deeply, "And they don't." The sword spirit chewed on the meaning of this sentence. Suddenly, from this sentence, he understood Chu Yang's deep regret. Treating himself as an enemy. From this sentence, it could be seen how much Chu Yang regretted his actions in his previous life. How much hatred. This may not only be because of Mo Qinggu. There were many other factors as well. While he was thinking, Chu Yang's consciousness had already sunk into silence. The sword spirit took a deep breath, took over Chu Yang's body, and operated the Thousand Phantom technique with all his strength. According to his own memory, he created a 3rd-stage supreme martial artist aura. He kept a part of his divine consciousness that had merged with Chu Yang's, and sent the rest out like a raging wave. Everyone in the Yi clan was in their own tents. On the surface, there were more than 200 experts sitting cross-legged and practicing martial arts. In such a tense situation, no one dared to really fall asleep. Just at this moment, Suddenly, everyone's countenance changed greatly at the same time. From afar, a strong aura swept over like a flash flood. The clouds that passed by in the sky suddenly split apart and disappeared into nothingness. Supreme Martial Artist Expert. Immediately, an aura full of vicissitudes of life and loneliness surged, and a bleak voice said lightly, "Yi-Wen, come out and have a chat with me. How about it?" Third update, begging for monthly votes. Today is Sister Yun Shicha's birthday. I wish her a happy birthday and wish her a happy life. At the same time, I hope that everyone can give their blessings to Sister Yun in the comments section and show the warmth of our proud family. I thank everyone on behalf of Sister Yun. Chapter 877. This faint voice didn't contain much power, but it floated out calmly, and everyone could hear it clearly. Although the voice was faint, it was full of loneliness and boredom. It was as if he was facing hundreds of experts of the Yi clan, but he still couldn't raise his spirits. Everyone woke up at the same time. They walked out of the tent and looked up. 4 to 500 feet away, on the top of a big tree, a lonely figure stood with his hands behind his back, looking up at the sky. His black robe fluttered in the wind. It gave people the feeling that this person would fly away with the wind at any time and return to the vast world. This senior is Yi Wutian, the fourth master of the Yi clan, raised his voice and asked, "May I know why senior is looking for our ancestor?" The man in black looked up at the sky, and his robe fluttered. Then he slowly lowered his head and looked at Yi Wutian, giving him a deep look. When Yi Wutian's eyes met with the other party's, he suddenly felt that the other party's eyes had turned into the night sky full of stars. In an instant he actually saw stars, and a feeling of dizziness rose from the depths of his divine soul. Although his body was still, his divine soul seemed to have been turned upside down. Yi Wutian couldn't help but hold his forehead with one hand and close his eyes hard. He moaned, "Senior." He couldn't speak anymore. But the others were all shocked. Although Yi Wutian only called out a form of address, everyone knew that this short word was already begging for mercy. Yi Wutian, who was known to be lawless, actually became like this under the other party's gaze? Then it was obvious what kind of realm the other party was in. The man in black raised his head again and looked at the bright moon in the sky with a somewhat melancholy look. After a long time, he said lightly, "Yi Wangren, if you don't come out, I'll go in." His voice was faint, but the threat in his tone was obvious. "If you don't come out, I'll kill my way in. I'll kill all of you in one go. If you don't want your Yi clan to die here, then come out obediently." This sentence wasn't spoken out, but everyone in the Yi clan clearly felt the existence of this sentence in their hearts. At the same time, a trace of murderous intent floated between heaven and earth, as if it was gradually spreading. His killing intent was faint, as if it was not there at all. The black-clothed man on the treetop sighed softly with a hint of helplessness. Everyone understood what this sigh meant. "Sigh, I still can't control my murderous aura freely. My cultivation is still not high enough." Everyone looked at each other in shock. Only supreme martial artists of the 5th grade and above could vanquish the killing intent into nothingness. The black-clothed man in front of him had already achieved the level of faintly discernible, yet he was still not satisfied. A deep voice rang out from the Yi clan's camp. Such a decisive battle was originally meant for the younger generation to vent their anger, and for us older generation to train our troops. Your Shao clan actually sent out an expert like you? There was some dissatisfaction in his voice. Clearly, he was blaming the Shao clan for making a big fuss over nothing. Us, the older generation? The man in black on the treetop let out a faint chuckle. "Yi Wangren, who's from our older generation?" Yi Wangren said, "Isn't it us?" The black-clothed man on the treetop fell silent. The next moment he suddenly shouted with the power of his divine soul, "Yi Wangren!" With this shout, all the experts of the Yi clan simultaneously felt that a vast sea of blood suddenly appeared in their divine souls. After a loud roar, the sea of blood suddenly surged with monstrous waves. The bright red color of blood connected with the sky and the earth, and there was no other color. They couldn't help but close their eyes suddenly, and their bodies swayed twice. For a long time, they didn't dare to open their eyes. Their faces were full of horror. With a swoosh, a black shadow flew out from the Yi clan's camp. It flew up lightly and stayed close to the ground for 300 feet. Then, with a graceful turn of its body, it turned and rushed upwards. Like a rocket, it rushed to a height of 500 feet, and then flew backwards. It actually widened the distance again, and landed on the top of a big tree 300 feet away from the black-clothed man. All the movements were done in one go. First, it flew at a low altitude, then turned and rose, then retreated and stood firm. It didn't even take a breath. This kind of body movement was indeed more agile than a bird. But Yi Wangran, who had this kind of body movement, looked very serious. Looking at the black-clothed man opposite him, he took a deep breath and said, "What a strong divine soul." The black-clothed man snorted and said, "Yi Wangran, which generation of the Yi clan are you from?" Yi Wangran straightened his body and said, "I'm from the 15th generation of the Yi clan. I'm the direct descendant of the Yi clan, and I'm ranked first." Although he still didn't admit the other party's identity as a senior, he answered the other party's question truthfully. In fact, this was already a kind of attitude. "I'm lower in seniority than you." The black-clothed man said, "Oh, 15th generation? Well, I remember that I'm from the 50th generation of the Shao clan." I didn't expect that the 15th generation of the Yi clan has also become a supreme martial artist. He seemed to be at a loss again. After a long time, he asked, "How's Senior Yi Di?" Yi Wangran was silent for a while, then said, "Elder is fine." He wasn't sure of the other party's identity now, but he didn't dare to be uncertain. So, he could only answer vaguely. Well, the black-clothed man seemed to be very satisfied with Yi Wangran's answer. He sighed and said, "How many years has it been? The moon is still the moon." This sentence made Chu Yang, who was hiding in the tribulation space, almost laughed out loud. If the moon isn't the moon, could it have become the sun? Yi Wangran actually had the same feeling. He also sighed and said, "Beautiful women have white hair, while heroes have white bones. For thousands of years, only the moon hasn't changed." The black-clothed man said lightly, "What hasn't changed is the heavenly law." Yi Wangran was shocked. He finally said respectfully, "Thank you for your teachings, Senior. You're right. What hasn't changed is the heavenly law." The black-clothed man nodded with relief. "You're worth teaching." He still looked at the moon with his hands clasped behind his back. His voice was ethereal as he said, "Tonight, the moon is bright and the stars are sparse. The moonlight shines on everything. I suddenly felt a little lost, so I wanted to come out for a walk." Yi Wangran said respectfully, "Yes." The black-clothed man continued lightly, "The feud between the Yi clan and my Shao clan has been going on for a long time. But both sides have always been friendly. Even if there's a matter of life and death, we've never made a big fuss. Yi Wangran, do you know why?" Yi Wangran became respectful and said, "Back then, this ancestor swore in front of the tribulation sword that all my grandchildren would be brothers forever. If there's any unfilial behavior, the big clans will kill them together." The black-clothed man nodded slowly. "After I came out from my closed-door training, I looked at the moon from afar and felt touched. But I heard that your Yi clan had launched a large-scale invasion. So, I decided to come out for a walk." Yi Wangran complained in his heart, "You came out for a walk? But don't come to me. How can I bear to see you come out for a walk?" I suddenly knew that someone from the Yi clan was called Yi Wangran. The black-clothed man's clothes fluttered silently in the air. He also laughed silently. "So, my Wangran came to talk to you." Yi Wangran's face turned bitter. He thought, "It's because of my name." He asked, "May I know who you are?" The black-clothed man laughed. "I'm from the 50th generation, ranked 10th. Now, do you know who I am?" Yi Wangran's face changed instantly. He became even more respectful and said, "So you're 10th Master Shao, who was known as the one who broke the heavens with a single sword. Back then, the three venerables of Heaven Wasteland ran amok in the southeast and claimed to be invincible. 10th Master Shao was ordered by his clan to kill these three people. He only used a single sword to make the arrogant 3 venerables of Heaven Wasteland bow down to him and disappear from the martial world. That sword is said to be called Earth-Shaking. The black-clothed man seemed even more lonely. He said bleakly, "The past is the past. Why mention it?" Yi Wangren said, "Yes." The black-clothed man stood quietly and motionlessly, as if he was immersed in his memories. He didn't move. Yi Wangren didn't dare to move. He didn't speak. Yi Wangren didn't dare to speak either. The divine soul power that the other party had shown had completely shocked him. Yi Wangren now believed 1000% that this black-clothed man in front of him was the 10th Master Shao of the Shao clan, who once ran amok in the upper 3 heavens among millions of experts. It was said that after him, although every generation of the Shao clan's grandsons would surpass this number, no one dared to be ranked 10th. Ever since the 10th Master Shao used a single sword to break the heavens, he had kept this ranking for himself forever. In the face of such a legendary figure, even Yi Wangren, a supreme martial artist, had to respect and fear him from the bottom of his heart. After a long time, this black-clothed, 10th Master Shao flicked his sleeves and floated away from the treetops. He floated towards the distance of the vast night, leaving behind a faint sentence, "Follow me." He floated away without looking back. Yi Wangren didn't dare to hesitate at all. He immediately followed up. The speed of this 10th Master Shao in front wasn't fast. At least, in the eyes of Yi Wangren, this supreme martial artist, such speed was really nothing. It was only the speed of a saint. He couldn't understand why this 10th Master Shao had to travel at such a slow speed since he wanted to talk to him. But this 10th Master Shao had his hands clasped behind his back all the way, facing the bright moon and clear sky. It seemed that as he walked, he was reminiscing, feeling melancholy, and comprehending. The other party's otherworldly attitude made Yi Wangren not dare to act rashly, let alone disturb him. He could only follow the other party's speed. He obediently stayed 200 feet behind him and followed him patiently. "Yi Wangren, what do you think of the mountains and rivers in the southeast?" As they floated, this 10th Master Shao spoke again. Once he spoke, it was as if he was testing him. Yi Wangren looked around from a high altitude and praised, "The mountains and rivers are magnificent, lofty and steep, and the confluence of heaven and earth. It's really a first-class scenery in the world. It's no wonder that the Shao clan can produce so many heroes in such a beautiful place." Ah! With a faint laugh, this 10th Master Shao shook his head lightly. "Elder, what do you mean?" Yi Wangren humbly asked for advice. "Back then, I was fortunate enough to follow Elder Yi Di to tour the mountains and rivers. At that time, Elder Yi Di once asked me, 10th, what do you think of my mountains and rivers?" 10th Master Shao said lightly. Yi Wangren's spirits were instantly lifted. He said, "Then, how did you answer back then?" The two figures floated quietly from a high altitude like flowing clouds. At this moment, Yi Wangren clearly felt that there were 4 powerful auras hidden below. But 10th Master Shao didn't react, so Yi Wangren also pretended not to know and flew over with a swoosh. It's just 4 martial saints. Since 10th Master Shao had come in person, how could he launch a sneak attack? Yi Wangren had unconditional trust in this elder's elegant demeanor. Not only him, but everyone in the big clans also trusted him. Once such a peerless expert made a move, the mountains would collapse and the earth would crack. How could he launch a sneak attack? Moreover, Yi Wangren was now full of curiosity and thirst for knowledge. He knew that since the other party had said this, he was going to give him some advice. Usually, a word from such an expert was better than decades of hard work. How could Yi Wangren let go of such an opportunity? 10th Master Shao seemed to have a faint smile on his face. After floating for a few miles like a breeze, he said, "Back then, when Elder Yi Di asked me this question, I was thinking about why he asked me this question." He said lightly, "But when I asked you just now, you answered without hesitation. So, this shows that you didn't think about it." Yi Wangren instantly sweated profusely. One of them took the initiative to think about it, while the other didn't. The difference between them was huge. "Elder, please give me some advice." Yi Wangren only felt a gust of cold wind blowing on his body. He actually felt the coolness of autumn at this moment. Back then, after I thought about it, I replied, "Both Du and Southeast have a long history," 10th Master Xiao said with a faint smile. Yi Wangren started to ponder. Both Du and Southeast have a long history. The meaning of this sentence wasn't small at all. It was obvious that he wanted to compare the Xiao clan with the Yi clan. Moreover, he said this sentence in front of Elder Yi Di. This 10th Master Xiao was really very daring. I wonder what Elder Yi Di said at that time? As he thought about it, he asked, "Elder, may I ask what Elder Yi Di said at that time?" 10th Master Xiao smiled lightly and shook his head. He said, "Elder Yi Di said, 10th Master Xiao is indeed a man of great talent with eagle eyes and wolf eyes." A man of great talent with eagle eyes and wolf eyes. Yi Wangran's heart shook. He seriously pondered over this sentence. This sentence was obviously somewhat derogatory, but also somewhat commendatory. What did Elder Yi Di mean by saying this? He thought for a long time, but he didn't have an answer. Finally, he asked, "Then, what do you think of my answer just now?" This sentence seemed to be comparing him with that 10th Master Xiao at that time. He wanted to know what was the gap between them. The two of them were like flowing clouds and breezes. Unknowingly, they had already drifted past 4 or 5 mountains and were far away from the black pine forest. Chapter 878. Part 7 Chapter 154 Exposed 10th Master Xiao was still moving forward calmly, but he sped up a little. He said lightly, "As for your answer," Yi Wangren said modestly, "how is it?" From the simplest sentence, you can tell a person's nature. 10th Master Xiao laughed and shook his head. The more casual the question is, the more sincere the answer will be. This sentence of yours is pure flattery. 10th Master Xiao smiled lightly. You're a little hypocritical. Such a character is a big obstacle to martial arts. You must be careful. Yi Wangran's heart skipped a beat. He said, "A big obstacle to martial arts." 10th Master Xiao said indifferently, "You might think that when you see a person, you speak the human language, and when you see a ghost, you speak the ghost language. When you meet a person, you speak only 30% of your words, and you don't completely throw away your heart. You'll even be complacent. But you've neglected that since you won't be at a disadvantage, you won't be able to take advantage of others." Yi Wangran surrendered willingly. "Elder, what you said is very reasonable." 10th Master Xiao smiled lightly. "So, your future is not optimistic. If you're likely to destroy yourself." Yi Wangran's whole body shook. He said, "Elder, you mean?" 10th Master Xiao looked at him deeply. He stopped for the first time and said lightly, "Your achievements will stop here for the rest of your life." Yi Wangran looked defeated and murmured, "Stop here for the rest of my life." 10th Master Xiao stopped. His clothes fluttered in the wind. He looked at the mountains and valleys under his feet and said, "What do you see?" Yi Wangran was at a loss. "What do you think this place is?" asked 10th Master Xiao. "This place is..." Yi Wangran looked up, but found that he didn't recognize the surrounding scenery at all. He had unknowingly run for a long distance. 10th Master Xiao smiled lightly and commented, "You're too focused on your head." The latest chapter of Martial Yin Yang. Yi Wangran blushed with shame and said, "Just now, I was only focused on listening to your teachings and actually neglected it." 10th Master Xiao chuckled and said benevolently, Let's go back. It should be about time now. This old man is also going back to cultivate in seclusion. If you go back and see Senior Yi Di, please send my regards." Elder, what do you mean by, "it's about time"? Yi Wangran faintly felt that something was wrong. 10th Master Xiao floated up and chuckled. "Your Yi clan has gone overboard this time, so this old man will let them teach you a lesson first. I had no choice but to lure you out. It should be done by now." Yi Wangran was shocked and dumbfounded. "Elder, you..." He was both shocked and furious. He never imagined that such a senior would actually use such a despicable method. 10th Master Xiao smiled faintly. His sleeves fluttered, and he flew up to a mountain. Yi Wangren, we'll meet again someday. Yi Wangran was so angry that his whole body trembled. He finally understood the other party's trick. Suddenly he yelled, stretched out his hands and shouted, "I'm so pissed off." With a boom, the whole mountain in front of him was lifted up into the air by him. Although he was furious, he also knew that the cultivation of this 10th Master Shao wasn't something that he could deal with. It was already considered very good that 10th Master Shao didn't take the opportunity to deal with him now, so, of course, he didn't dare to find trouble with this 10th Master Shao. He just made a move casually to vent his anger and was about to go back. But at the moment when he turned around, he found that 10th Master Shao actually staggered a little under the effect of his ability to lift up the mountain. He even looked a little embarrassed. Then, he continued to float up at the speed of a saint. Yi Wangran was stunned. What's going on? His cultivation is much higher than mine. How can such a situation happen? Immediately, a terrifying thought arose in Yi Wangran's heart. Could it be that this is a trick? As soon as he thought of this, his heart suddenly thumped. He no longer hesitated and chased after 10th Master Shao. Elder, take care. I still have something to ask you. Net. 10th Master Shao, who was in black, paused for a while. Then he finally stopped. He slowly turned around and said calmly, Yi Wangren, do you want to attack me? As he spoke, that powerful divine power suddenly surged. Yi Wangran instinctively paused and felt a little uncertain. He thought, if he's a fake, how can his divine power be so powerful? He couldn't help but have some misgivings. He said, Elder, I don't really understand what you're saying. So may I ask? 10th Master Shao laughed and said, Yi Wangren, are you doubting my identity? Yi Wangran's thoughts were seen through by 10th Master Shao. He couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. He said, I don't dare. 10th Master Zhao's gaze turned into lightning. He looked at Yi Wangren quietly, making Yi Wangren flustered. After a long time, 10th Master Shao asked coldly, What do you not understand? Yi Wangren murmured, I'm just concerned about your body. I heard that you came to my Yi clan to look for elixirs when you were injured 300 years ago. Have you found them? If you haven't, I've brought some with me this time. The sword spirit was instantly stunned. He really didn't know how to answer this question. He didn't know whether this matter was true or not. It should be a test. But should he say that he had them? Or not? This was a simple question. But the sword spirit and Chu Yang were stumped. If they didn't answer well, this guy in front of them was a supreme martial artist. Even if the sword spirit and Chu Yang joined forces now, they were definitely not his match. There shouldn't be such a thing. Chu Yang pondered. 300 years ago, this 10th Master Shao already had the cultivation of at least a second-stage supreme martial artist. He was in closed-door meditation every day. Who could hurt him? Besides, even if he was really injured, would he still need to go to the Yi clan to look for elixirs? The sword spirit thought for a while and felt that what Chu Yang said was reasonable. He snorted and said, What injury? Which level have I been injured before? Yi Wangren, you're really inexplicable. You actually used such a clumsy method to test me. Forget it. Seeing that you're young and ignorant, I won't argue with you. Go back quickly. Yi Wangran's face changed instantly. It became grief and indignation, and there were signs of hysteria. There was a kind of extreme anger. He stared at the sword spirit and gnashed his teeth. I hate it so much. I hate it so much, I really hate it. The sword spirit knew that something bad was going to happen. He forced himself to calm down and shouted, Yi Wangren. Good junior. Yi Wangren was extremely indignant. It's ridiculous that I've been deceived by you for so long. If I don't take revenge for this, how can I face the world? You're actually so daring to deceive me. The sword spirit shouted coldly, Yi Wangren, how dare you be rude to me? He still thought that he was lucky and acted like a senior. Yi Wangren looked up and laughed miserably. You still want to continue deceiving me? Pa, it's really ridiculous. 700 years ago, Shao Shi suffered from qi deviation. He came to my Yi clan to ask for the soul-returning frost to save his life. He couldn't bear it anymore. With a loud roar, he slapped his palm towards Yi Wangren. The sword spirit and Chu Yang groaned at the same time. Damn it, such a thing actually happened to Xiaoshi? Man proposes, God disposes. The sword spirit laughed and said, "You're smart. But it's not a wasted trip to make you, Yiwangan. Follow me like a dog and call me senior all the way." Ha! He spread out his body and flew out like a stream of light. Yiwangran was so angry that his face directly changed shape. With a crooked mouth and slanted eyes, he chased after him crazily. "If I don't capture you alive today and let you taste the cruelest torture in the world, I, Yiwangran, have really lived in vain." The sword spirit had just flown out when Yiwangran caught up with him. He stretched out his big hand, and the wind and clouds in the sky instantly condensed into a huge hand that was thousands of feet wide. Then it grabbed down fiercely. The sword spirit and Chu Yang groaned at the same time. Originally, the two of them were still complacent. This time, not only had they completed the task perfectly, but they had also planted an inner demon in Yiwangran's heart that, "Your cultivation will stop at this level forever." What a good thing. Damn it, how did I get seen through at the last moment? What should I do now? Not to mention anything else, I'm absolutely unable to resist this grab of his. He forcibly used the power of his divine soul and let out a sharp roar, which stimulated Yiwangran's divine soul fiercely. Yiwangran's divine soul was shaken, and his big hands stopped in the air. The sword spirit's body slid out like a fish in water. He recklessly launched a mad dash at full speed. With a hissing sound, a faint white smoke appeared in the air. Then, it disappeared rapidly in the air and became smaller. Yiwangran snorted and became even more resentful. "Although I don't know what kind of fortuitous encounter you've had that caused the power of your divine soul to be so strong, your cultivation is still too weak." At this moment, the two of them were already thousands of feet apart, but Yiwangran's words were still extremely clear. Every word seemed to explode beside the sword spirit's ears, as if they were going to drill into his ears. The sword spirit didn't utter a single word. He just continued to advance at full speed. Wherever he could, he would definitely turn. His body was as agile as a spirit snake. He constantly changed his angle and direction. Every time he changed his angle and direction, his speed would increase a little. All of a sudden, Yiwangran shouted from behind, "Stop!" With this shout, there seemed to be a sudden gust of wind and clouds surging behind him. The sword spirit turned a deaf ear to him and continued to run. But the next moment, the wind and clouds suddenly gathered in front of him. The spiritual energy of the world fluctuated wildly. In an instant, it formed a collapsing field. The sword spirit shouted, "Oh no!" Then, four big words appeared in front of him. The spiritual energy of the world and the wind and clouds in the sky gathered together to form four big words, which came crashing down on him. Each character was dozens of feet tall and dozens of feet wide. They came from three different directions, carrying with them a thunderous, destructive aura as they crashed down with a rumbling boom. They were the four words that Yiwangran shouted just now, "Give me stuff that I've been busy for the whole day. Tomorrow is an important day, Aunt Feng's birthday. What makes me most speechless is that I've been framed." A brother gave Aunt Feng his own account as a gift, and even attached a link to it. I can imagine what this is for. God knows what kind of misery I've been in for the entire afternoon, run away in tears. Chapter 879. Four big words came down with a loud bang. The sword spirit roared. With the calamity sword in his hand, he suddenly launched the move, killing the whole world. With a loud sound, a big hole was blasted out between the word, "Stop," in front. The sword spirit controlled Chu Yang's body to pass through this hole and fly rapidly. But with this delay, Yiwangran had already caught up to him within 1,000 feet. Net of nets. No matter where you go, don't think of escaping. Yiwangran roared again. 11 big words came down in front of him again. The sword spirit broke through again and shouted, "Yiwangran, if you don't go back now, your Yi clan members will all be killed." Yiwangran laughed with grief and indignation. "Even if they're all killed, don't think of surviving." The sword spirit ran away speechlessly, This guy is crazy. Two figures, one in front and one behind, were flying rapidly in the air. It could be seen that Yi Wangran was getting closer and closer to the figure in black in front. The distance between them was getting shorter little by little. This was the sword spirit. If it were any other martial saint expert, he would have already been captured by Yi Wangran. No matter where the sword spirit level appeared, all of them were wonderful beyond compare. But the gap between him and the opponent was really too big. No matter what, he couldn't get rid of the opponent. Yi Wangran was already mad with anger. He was actually fooled like this. This was simply a great humiliation. The sword spirit had a clear goal. He had to rush to the Shao clan's camp no matter what. There were no supreme martial artists in other places, but there must be in the Shao clan's camp. The sword spirit controlled Chu Yang's body to sway in the air. With a whoosh, 3 figures appeared and dashed in 3 directions. Yi Wangran roared and launched 3 consecutive palms. The 3 figures were instantly smashed into space fragments. The distance between them and the sword spirit was also pulled apart by 100 feet. Stop! 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 Yi Wangran roared 5 times in a row. The spiritual aura in the air surged, the wind and clouds were turbulent, and 5 big mountains appeared consecutively in front of the sword spirit. The sword spirit had no choice but to activate the power of his divine soul and launch the calamity sword to rush over. Net of nets, high up in the sky, it was a marvelous sight. Numerous misty mountains suddenly appeared, and then a stream of light suddenly rushed in, smashing a large hole in the misty mountain, and quickly went out. Behind it, a similar black shadow chased after it like lightning, one in front and one behind, like 2 connected black lines. After the 2 of them passed by, the misty mountains behind them began to crumble, letting out thunderous sounds, and then dark clouds began to gather. In front of them was a clear sky with white clouds drifting about. Behind them, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. It formed a peculiar landscape. It was getting closer and closer. Only 800 feet left. Only 700 feet left. Only 500 feet left. Suddenly, the sword spirit's body tensed up. He heard that Yi Wangran seemed to be taking a deep breath behind him. In an instant, there was a feeling of the air being sucked dry, as if the space behind him had completely turned into a bottomless black hole. The sword spirit roared, and his body swayed for a while. Then, the sword light suddenly bloomed into a peacock that spread its wings, and was about to fly. At the same time, Yi Wangran, who was behind him, punched out. From the position where he punched out to 300 feet in front of the sword spirit, a dark passage suddenly appeared. It was a full 100 feet wide and a full 100 feet tall. At this moment, the sword spirit's sword light had turned into a peacock and flown up. Most of the peacock's body had already flown out, and it was only a little bit away from completely flying out of the black hole. But it was finally affected. With a snap, the peacock formed by the sword light suddenly scattered in the air. It turned back into a black-clothed figure again, and flew forward. The sword spirit was controlling Chu Yang's body. This blow didn't cause much harm to Chu Yang's body, but to the sword spirit's divine soul, it was a great impact. Chu Yang even clearly felt the sword spirit's weakness at the moment of impact. Net of nets. Ever since Chu Yang got the calamity sword and possessed by the sword spirit, he had never seen the sword spirit being so weak in a battle. The sword spirit roared, and suddenly said hurriedly, "There's still 17,000 feet left to the Shao clan's camp. I'll use a secret method to burn my divine soul and rush there in an instant to get rid of him. Then I'll have to rest. You take over the body and act according to the situation." Chu Yang said, "Okay. I'll hold him back." The sword spirit smiled lightly. The next moment, his body suddenly emitted a blazing white light, and then he suddenly accelerated, flying forward at a speed more than 10 times faster than before. Yi Wangran was shocked. In his eyes, the black figure in front of him suddenly accelerated, and then disappeared in the sky in the blink of an eye at a speed that he couldn't catch up with. "Burn your divine soul?" Yi Wangran snorted coldly. "Do you think you can run away after burning your divine soul? The Shao clan's camp is in front of you." He chased after the sword spirit with a murderous look. In the Shao clan's camp, everyone's eyes were fixed on the strange scene in the sky. Some of the more experienced and knowledgeable people had already guessed, this must be a battle between two peerless experts in the sky. Before they finished speaking, a black-clothed figure suddenly fell from the sky with a sharp sound. When they first saw him, he was just a small black dot, but then he turned into a person and landed in the camp. With a loud bang, dust and smoke filled the air. "Who's there?" Everyone shouted in unison, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. But this black-clothed man had already shouted anxiously, "Quickly get out of the way and hide. Yi Wangren is coming." Hearing this sentence, the Shao clan instinctively thought, "Is this person one of us?" Then, they realized the seriousness of this matter. Yi Wangren is coming? He's a supreme martial artist. How can we resist him? The black-robed man's body flashed, and he entered a thicket. Then he disappeared. Everyone still wanted to ask, but they saw a figure falling rapidly from the sky. With a hideous smile, he said, "The Shao clan's camp? Do you think I won't be able to find you after you enter the camp?" Suddenly, with a loud bang, he landed on the ground. The strong shock caused all the tents in the Shao clan's camp to fly up into the air at the same time. Many of the Shao clan's experts were also sent flying at the same time, turning into flying people in the air. More than 10 people were sent flying up into the air uncontrollably and vomited blood in the air. Yi Wangren waved his hand, and his sleeves rolled up in the air. Instantly, the dust and smoke disappeared completely. His eagle-like eyes looked at everyone in front of him slowly, and he shouted, "Come out!" 8 people lined up in a row like 8 iron towers, solemn and mighty. They strode out. "Senior Yi," Yi Wangren said angrily, "who's the one who pretended to be mysterious just now? Come out." The 8 people looked at each other and asked, "May I know which one Senior Yi is referring to?" Yi Wangren flew into a rage. "How would I know which one? Your Shao clan doesn't dare to admit what you've done?" The 8 people were confused at the same time. The leader was also an 8th-stage martial saint. He was usually proud and arrogant. Now that he was reprimanded by Yi Wangren like this, he couldn't bear it. He sneered and said, "I don't understand what you're talking about." Yi Wangren smiled. "I'll let you understand." Suddenly, he stretched out his hand and grabbed this person's neck from hundreds of feet away. He pulled him over and shouted, "Do you understand now? Third elder brother. Third master." The others were shocked. They rushed up anxiously at the same time. But that third master was a tough nut to crack. Although he was grabbed by Yi Wangren, he was still unyielding. He forced himself to breathe and sneered. "Why, Senior Yi, do you dare to kill people? This is the southeast region." This sentence completely annoyed Yi Wangren. Yi Wangren laughed wildly. "Your Shao clan lured me away, but could it be that you've done something good to my people? You dare to kill people, but do you think I don't dare to? Third master of the Shao clan." As he said, the murderous look on his face became more and more intense. He wanted to pinch this person to death. Yi Wangren stopped. With a shout, a dignified old man in brocade clothes with long eyebrows and phoenix-like eyes suddenly appeared in front of Yi Wangren. He said lightly, "What happened? Why, Master Yi of the Yi clan, who's said to be unshakable, actually became so furious." His words were filled with a mocking tone. And he wasn't afraid of Yi Wangren at all. Obviously, he was a figure of the same generation as Yi Wangren. "Fifth Master Shao, it turns out that you're secretly in charge of this operation." Yi Wangren looked at the old man in brocade clothes in front of him and said slowly, "No wonder the Shao clan acted so insidiously and viciously this time." Fifth Master Shao said heavily, "Put down Third Master Shao first. What exactly happened? It actually made you so furious." Yi Wangren laughed. His eyes flashed fiercely and he shouted, "No need to say anything more. Hand over that person just now." Fifth Master Shao was stunned. Yi Wangren was furious. "You're still pretending to be a fool." Yi Wangren finally tore off his mask in front of his peers aggressively. Fifth Master Zhao's face was cold. He turned back and asked, Who came in just now? Where is he? Yi Wangran just sneered. He looked at Fifth Master Xiao as if he was watching a play. Someone said, "Just now, a man in black came in." Before he finished speaking, Fifth Master Xiao had already shouted, "Where is he? Ask him to come out." Everyone hurriedly searched for him, but what could they find now? After searching for a long time, the final report was that there was no such person. Yi Wangran was already trembling with anger. Fifth Master Xiao faced Yi Wangran and said heavily, "Brother Yi, this is a misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? Yi Wangran was so angry that he laughed. He shook that third Master Xiao in his hand and laughed harshly. "Now that things have come to this, Fifth Master Xiao, you're telling me that this is a misunderstanding?" Fifth Master Xiao took a step forward and said seriously, "It's indeed a misunderstanding. You have to believe me." Yi Wangran laughed with grief and indignation. "Fifth Master Xiao, what did you do to my family when I wasn't around? This isn't a misunderstanding, right?" Fifth Master Xiao was stunned. "Brother Yi, why do you say this? How can I be such a despicable person?" Yi Wangran nodded slowly. "You didn't do it, right?" Fifth Master Xiao said angrily, "Of course not." Yi Wangran nodded slowly and said word by word, "Then, come with me. I don't care about my face today. Come on." Fifth Xiao, Supreme Xiao. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Immortal Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.